My name is Brandis Daniel, and I am the founder and CEO of Harlem's Fashion Row. HFR is the premier agency creating a bridge between brands and designers of color in fashion. And we do that through brand strategy, through collaborations, and also experiential events. So long before inclusivity became a widely accepted goal across the fashion industry, Harlem's Fashion Row has been championing and uplifting designers of color. We cultivate innovative events which attract a multitude of diverse influencers in fashion, media, and entertainment. Our objective is to provide real business opportunities to multicultural designers in fashion to showcase their skills and abilities in an industry that is not always accessible to this group. I would like to welcome you to the 2021 HBCU Fashion Week Summit. Whether you are a current HBCU student or alumni, an inspiring designer or a seasoned fashion professional, with us now on YouTube or catching the replay, we are so excited that you chose to join us for this incredible virtual experience. My hope is that you will walk away from today's summit with just some tangible tools to support you in your fashion career, and also the confidence to powerfully walk in your purpose and ultimately achieve your dreams. It goes without saying that this virtual summit could not happen without the support of our partners who believe in what Harlem's Fashion Row stand for, especially in supporting the HBCU community. Partners such as Toyota and the Dream Project. With me today is Paige Barton, Manager of Multicultural Business Strategy at Toyota Motor North America and proud HBCU alumni by the way of Wiley College. Welcome, Paige.
Thank you so much, Brandis. We're so happy to be here. And on behalf of all of Toyota, we're happy to be here with the work that you do in supporting you through Harlem's Fashion Row.
Thank you so much, Paige. Okay, now, Paige, you've got to tell us, why as an organization does Toyota want to partner with Harlem's Fashion Row and the HBCU, our first HBCU Fashion Week Summit?
Thank you so much for asking, Brandis. For us at Toyota, the choice to partner with you was an easy one. You know, Toyota has a long history supporting historically Black colleges and universities. And as an HBCU graduate, I know firsthand the massive amount of talent and creativity that can be found on the HBCU campus. I also know the struggles that they have financially that could threaten the resources available to nurture this talent and creativity, especially in comparison to their counterparts at predominantly white institutions. You know, Toyota is committed to creating opportunities that offer pathways to success and partnering with Harlem's Fashion Row to support the dreams of HBCU students in the field of fashion that allows us to do just that. As a brand founded on the principle of respect for people, Toyota is committed to making the workplace, marketplace, society, and the world a better place, especially for the multicultural community. You know, that is why we also chose to partner with empowering platforms such as Harlem's Fashion Row, and will continue to seek additional opportunities for the foreseeable future.
I love that, Paige. Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have partners like Toyota and the Dream Project to help us nurture the future of fashion, especially those that are birthed from HBCUs. In particular, the launch of the HFR Drives Dreams Community Grant for emerging HBCU student designers. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about that grant, as well as what else you and Toyota have in store for today's summit?
We are beyond excited to announce the continuation of the Driving Dreams Community Grant, in which we, along with the Dream Project, will be awarding $2,500 grants for 3 emerging HBCU student designers. We will also be announcing the winners of those grants later in the program, followed by a presentation featuring the winning 3 designers. So you don't want to miss that, right?
Right.
We'll also be giving away digital gift bags all throughout today's summit. All you have to do is head to the Toyota Dream Project virtual microsite on the harlemsfashionroad.com and take the Toyota My Style, My Way quiz for your chance to win a digital gift bag with gift designs to help you drive your dreams forward. While you are there on the virtual microsite, be sure to check out our inspirational Fueling Fashion Fireside Chat videos, in which the Dream Project founder, Tanisha Jackson Warner, goes one-on-one with phenomenal women who have made big names for themselves within the fashion industry. So you surely don't want to miss that.
They definitely don't want to miss that. And that sounds amazing, Paige. Thank you for being here with us today, along with your continued partnership. It is great knowing that there are brands out there like Toyota that are so invested into supporting the dreams of its consumers, especially its multicultural consumers. Speaking of dreams, I too, like many of you watching, had a dream to make my mark on the fashion industry. I was a fashion outsider with limited resources and connections to the right people or audience. But despite these obstacles, I knew that my dream was so much bigger than myself. And one person that supported me on that dream journey was Dream Project founder and friend, Tanisha Jackson Warner. So I would like to bring Tanisha, who is here with Toyota and the Dream Project, to share some major keys to driving your dream forward, keys that really helped me in bringing Harlem's Fashion Row to fruition.
Brandon, I am beyond thrilled to be here today with you, our partner Toyota, and most importantly, with all of the viewers that are watching right now. If you're watching, I know, as well as Brandis, we know that you are indeed watching with a dream. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with my friend, my longtime friend, Brandis, to be here to support you in driving your dream forward.
I mentioned that you were one of the people who supported me in taking Harlem's Fashion Row from simply an idea to fruition. I know that we have viewers who have a dream that right now is nothing more than just a creative idea. So what would you say to those viewers are the top 3 keys to transform those dreams and creative ideas into reality?
All right, so viewers, get your notebooks out, your pencil. We're gonna go quick.
Pen and paper, pen and paper.
Yes, but we are about to give you some tips to drive your dreams forward. So tip number 1, you must be ready to say yes to the stretch. Let me say that again. You must be ready to say yes to the stretch. And let me tell you what the definition of the stretch is. The definition of the stretch is the distance that will be required of you to actually become the best version of yourself. Now, this distance, this journey, it's always outside of your comfort zone. So if you're here today and you're ready to get your nuggets and your tools and you know that you want to drive your dream forward, I need to let you know that that dream is going to happen outside of the zip code of your comfort zone. You're going to have to stretch outside of your comfort zone to have it become a reality. Now, of course, I just can't talk at you. I feel like I got one of the best dreamers in the game right here talking with me. So, Brandis, I just have a quick question. Did you have to stretch in creating Harlem Fashion Row?
Tanisha, I'm still stretching.
I'm
stretching every single day because the more you dream, you know, you're still dreaming beyond your resources. I'm still dreaming beyond my resources. So every single day, I have to sometimes look at what's on my plate and go, that's going to require a stretch. Are you ready to stretch?
Oh,
and that's just, I think that is the key for any dreamer is the stretch won't stop.
hmm. And can you give us an example of when you had to go outside of your comfort zone in realizing Harlem Fashion Row?
Yeah, there have been so many times. Last year at the top of the pandemic, all of our events were planned as physical events. And that means most of our revenue was tied up in physical events. So I really had to decide at that moment, like, what do we do? Right? Do we cancel all of our events for the year because everyone was canceling it? I think it started by Southwest, and then it was went on from there. And then, it was like, what do we do? How do we pivot? How do we do the events that we do and keep them really beautiful, keep them really special, but pivot them to virtual? And that was a stretch for us because we had never done that before. And I did not know what I was doing, but I had to call in a whole lot of help. In the stretch, you will need a lot of help and you have to be willing to ask for that help.
Thank you, Brandis. So, to all of the dreamers that are watching, you heard her say she did not know how to do it. So, if you're waiting to be comfortable in this dream journey, I'm going to tell you, get rid of that moment. You're going to be uncomfortable as you go on your dream journey. And we want to make sure you got that key and tip number one of saying yes to the stretch. So, tip number two, expect a miracle on your dream journey. I can tell you, after being on this journey for 17 years of having an idea, stepping out on faith, and then starting my own company, Igami Group, along the way, I have witnessed miracles. I met people that have changed the trajectory of my career at the last moment, and many times when I was like really praying to God and saying, God, I need resources. I need a miracle. I cannot tell you how many times he has actually shown up with a miracle. So I want you to expect miracles on your dream journey. And we can start that by raising your expectancy right now today. I want you to expect to meet your blessing here at Harlem's Fashion Row HBCU Summit today. You guys can G-chat with each other. You can network with one another. And you never know, maybe one of the speakers is someone that you need to hear from that will help you forward your dream. Let's get the expectancy up starting now. Expect a miracle on your dream journey. Now, Brandis, I just have to ask, along the way, which I know this personally because Brandis is my friend, but Brandis, along the way, have you witnessed miracles on your dream journey as you have manifested and brought Harlem Fashion Row into what we know it as today?
I think back to the story of when I first met Mike Warner, who is your business partner and husband. And that was my first time coming into contact with Igami. And we were sitting down for a talk, and he said to me, what do you need? And at the time, my real need was mannequins. I needed physical mannequins. I was planning this entire event around these mannequins that I did not own and did not have the money to go rent. And so I needed mannequins. And so I asked for them. He said, what do you need? I'm sure he was not expecting for that to come out of my mouth, but I said mannequins. And somehow you guys found somebody in New York City who had all of these mannequins that they were willing to lend to me. And we're talking days before this event, days. And so I really feel like a lot of times, right, it's the expectancy piece that you speak about. Like we have to actually say what we need, and then we have to expect to receive it. And sometimes that blessing will come in the most unexpected places.
I love it. And I had no idea that that is the example you were going to use. So Mike is going to be excited that you used that. And I can remember that day. It was like a decade ago. And now just look at Harlem Fashion Row. So this last tip is very important. And that is, we want you to know that the dream is not about you. Let me say that again. The dream is not about you. So yes, you have this dream in your heart and you're excited and you feel called to do it. But the real connection to that dream is the dream is inside you, because it is going to serve the world. It's going to serve others. And connecting to the fact that this dream wants to come into reality, not just for you, but to help someone else. Maybe it's an answer in your community. Maybe it will serve someone else in a very unique way. Dreams are always tied to service, and they're always tied to helping someone else. Knowing that early on in your dream journey, it will keep you connected. And in times where you may want to throw the towel in because you're just tired, you'll remember this dream is not just about me. Somebody is waiting on me for this dream. So in this particular case with Brandis, I know I've witnessed Brandis for over a decade commit her life to Harlem's Fashion Row. I know she has encountered obstacles before, but I can tell you during the times when she probably wanted to throw the towel in, she was connected that this dream was going to serve you one day. And that kept her in the game. So, Brandis, I would love to hear from you. How many times have you had to remind yourself that Harlem's Fashion Row is not just for Brandis, but it's for others, like those that are watching right here today?
I have to remind myself of that all the time. And one of the things I realized early on in my journey was that it wasn't even that my dream was for other people. Sometimes we're continuing somebody else's dream. And I found this book, you see it's so tattered, but Blacks in the History of Fashion. This was written by Lois Alexander Lane. She actually started the work that I'm doing with Harlem's Fashion Row years before me. As a matter of fact, she actually died the year that I started Harlem's Fashion Row. And so I knew it was destiny. So oftentimes we think that, we're starting something new. Sometimes we're just continuing somebody else's journey and paying that forward to the next generation.
Oh, look, you can always drop a nugget. I need my pen and paper when Brandis starts talking. Thank you for that. So if you're watching again, we are so thrilled, Toyota and the Dream Project, to be here to support Harlem's Fashion Row, to fuel the future of fashion. You are the future of fashion. Our intention is to drive your dream forward. You have those keys. Again, say yes to the stretch. It's going to be outside of your comfort zone. Expect a miracle. Starting today, we're going to raise our expectancy. And last but not least, be connected that your dream is here to serve the world. It's not just about you, but it's going to serve others. It's going to serve the world. It is indeed a pleasure to be here today to kick off Harlem's Fashion Row HBCU inaugural summit.
Yes, thank you so much, Tanisha. Tanisha, you always have the gems. I love that. So I'm just so grateful that you're here to impart your wisdom on us. I want to thank you, Paige, for your support on behalf of Toyota and making today's summit happen. And now, without further ado, it is time for our first panel. So sit back, grab a pen to take some notes, and enjoy. Excited. I have here with me, you have to hear his story. Someone who is beyond incredible. Toussaint King, who is the footwear designer for Jordan brand kids for Nike. Toussaint, welcome to the HFR stage again.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
We've had Toussaint speak at several of our summits, and he's so inspirational. And I think for you students and professors and HBCU alumni who are watching right now, his story will be so inspiring for you too. So Toussaint, let's just start with your journey to working at Nike, because that journey is so unique. Can you share the story of how you started?
Yeah, so it's crazy. I kind of tell the story of me working in a call center for retail credit cards and marketing, and getting the opportunity, the invite through Harlem's Fashion Row in order to send in a portfolio and actually compete or potentially compete in the combine. But it wasn't until I had a conversation a couple of days ago with a friend of mine, and he's like, you know that this wasn't overnight. And I was like, yeah, I've been doing this for years. He's like, no, really think about it. He said, I've been around you for tens of years and watched you literally like sketch and design and try to figure out your craft night in and night out. You clock out and still stay sketching on your own personal stuff until, you know, the wee hours of the morning. So he's like, this is a long time coming, and people don't realize that you've been doing a lot of this behind closed doors without any credit, without any notoriety. And he's like, finally it's happened. But yeah, it's crazy because I didn't go to design school by trade. And I used to just sketch on my own because I love footwear. I've been, you know, in the culture since a kid. And yeah, I was given the opportunity. So it's a big, you know, career shift from taking phone calls to now being a footwear designer for Nike.
I love that you say that, because you're like, I didn't just start this, right? Like, it didn't just happen. Like, yes, I got the opportunity, but I was prepared. You were prepared for the opportunity, because though you were not a designer for, you know, for a brand, you were still always designing. And I think there's something to say about that, right? Because sometimes we think people have to give us permission, right? Like, I was thinking, oh man, I want a documentary on HFR one time. And I'm like, you can start filming content now. The thing about where we are in this moment is that you don't need permission. You want to design shoes, start sketching. You want to create, you want to be a movie maker, start making a movie on your phone, right? Everything is available to us now. So let's talk about your dream job in college. Like, what was that dream job for you in college? And did you ever think you'd be where you are now?
Well, my dream job kind of started before college. I wanted to be a professional basketball player. Like, I loved and lived basketball. So when I finally got to college, I was transferring. I was actually attending Southern University in New Orleans. It's a very small HBCU. I was going to transfer from there to go play basketball at a JUCO in Montana, but Hurricane Katrina happened. And I ended up at Ohio State, and trying to walk on to a nationally ranked program is a whole different monster. So it quite didn't work out for me. So the pivot was, since I can't be a professional basketball player, maybe I should go to school for sports medicine and be a doctor. I would love to sit on the sidelines and, you know, help the players, right? But, you know, I was in a different state, had to work. I didn't believe in like taking financial aid to take and pay for my bills and all of that. Like, I worked full-time work study, full-time regular job, part-time job on the weekend, and did freelance design work to make sure that my bills were paid. But it's crazy because, you know, footwear design is something that I've always been passionate about. And I don't think that it's because I love tennis shoes so much. I think the purpose really came from wanting to help people. So after I got into the work field, I was, you know, honestly, I was tired of waking up every day feeling like I was wasting my life. I'm gonna be honest. And it got to a point in my life where I said, what do I have to do in order to not only help other people, but get myself to a purposeful and happy space? So I was like, well, you know what? I need to become debt free. So I started working on paying off all of my bills, student loans, car, everything, because once I'm debt free, I now have the freedom to go and do anything that I want to. And it was at the end of that journey where I had that opportunity to come and work for Nike. But if it wasn't this opportunity, I was on my way to China to figure it out.
Wow. What did you want to do in China?
Well, start, going to factories and just trying to learn the process of footwear making, because the passion comes from every time I go back home to New Orleans. I used to always see friends on the same corners, still living with their parents, and nothing was moving. And I was like, well, let me take my passion for footwear design and use that in order to bring jobs back to my community. So that's the real reason why I wanted to do footwear design. And now that I'm here at Nike, I have the opportunity to use their platform to make that same impact on my community.
I love that. Love that. Love it. How do you think students can get more involved with Nike? And are there any current opportunities?
That's a great question. So I think the focus is finding what your purpose is and living in that purpose. If you're doing a great job at whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, you don't have to go looking for Nike. Nike will come find you. So that's the first and foremost thing, because too often I come across, designers and other people who say, well, hey, I want to collaborate with Nike. I want to do something with Jordan Brand. I'm like, well, who doesn't? Like, what's your purpose? What's your reason? Because when they sit down and have a conversation with you, they want a genuine and clear story. They want to help enhance what it is that you are and, what you do. So you have to have a clear vision of that. If you don't, it's going to be hard to have a big brand back you on anything. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of that?
That was good though. That was good, because when HFR came into Nike, one of the things we did was told our real story. And I was like, we're going to tell our real story. We're going to not trying to be more than what we are. We're going to go in this door, be who we are, and they either take us or leave us. Right. And that meant that me going in the door, I end up crying at the table, which I had no plans to do. But that's genuinely who I am. And when, they heard our stories, that's when that collaboration that we did with LeBron James 16 shoe got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was because they were like, oh no, now HFR is real and the designers are real too. Like, this is what they're meant to be doing. And you pull all that authenticity together and you don't have to make up a story. Like, there's too many stories there to tell. You got to figure out which story to tell, right?
That is true. So, and I thank you, because you were the one who got me connected to the whole LeBron team. And what it was is I was in between the Serena project, and I just took the initiative to reach out and say, hey, do you all have any extra work? And I was asked to do the Black History Month for LeBron this past year. But instead of giving them one concept, I came back with two. And the second concept, they was like, well, we need to find a way to get this idea made as well. So at that time, it was in a process of negotiating the deals with FAMU. And they came back and said, hey, the second concept, we need you to make it to a FAMU shoe. I was like, all right, no problem. So when I came back to them with the color, the reason why I changed it a little bit, the graphics that I did, the hidden messages in it that people still don't know about, just the whole build out, the reason of the story, they were kind of blown away because they thought that I was just going to put a regular color on the shoe and give it back, because that's really the process for PEs. It's just color blocking and pass it on. So I had a conversation after doing that project. I spoke with Tinker Hatfield, and he said, I think that you need to align yourself with the team or, an athlete, and go through the whole journey with them. So I reached back out to the LeBron team and say, hey, I want to be responsible for this. And, they crossed their T's, dotted their I's, and say, hey, you got it. So I'll be doing all of the FAMU PEs moving forward. And also had the opportunity to design the men's and women's basketball uniforms for this upcoming season. And the reason why I wanted to do it, because I felt that if I didn't do it, I'm not going to say that, I felt like I was the one to do it the right way.
Of course, because you went to an HBCU, right, in New Orleans. You understood, you get it. You wanted to make sure that I love that. And it makes sense that someone who, even went to an HBCU at some point would be the one to design the shoe for FAMU. I love that. And the products for FAMU. I love it.
Yeah, yes, I thank you. And I thank the whole LeBron team, Josh, Tim Day, Jason. I mean, they've been amazing and been supporting me, Whitney, Eddie, to support me with the project. So much thanks and love to them.
I love it. So if you had to leave the students with like one piece of advice, Toussaint, like something you wish you had known, what would it be?
I wish that a little bit earlier in life, I had a more of a sense of self-accountability. Quick story. I was playing semi-pro football and I decided to go and play flag football on the weekends. And I'm standing on the sideline the whole time and I'm starting to get frustrated because like, hey, I know how to run my routes. I'm pretty good. Why am I standing on the sideline? And the coach, he came to me and he said, why are you upset? I said, because I'm standing on the sideline. It's been 3 weeks. I haven't gotten any playing time. And he said, all right. He's like, do you know all of the plays? I said, I know most of them. He said, oh, you know most of the plays, but you don't know all of them. I said, interesting. He said, when you go to an ATM machine, what do you need in order to get money out? Took me a second to think about it, but I was like, your debit card. He's like, oh, you need your debit card. He said, okay. He said, well, how can you come to an ATM machine without your debit card and expecting to get money out? It's like, it doesn't make sense. He's like, you're upset because you're on the sideline and you don't even know all of the plays. You don't even have the fundamental things that you need or knowledge that you need to even get on the field. So the thing that I would say with people is self-accountability, continue to educate yourself, because when that opportunity comes up, if you don't have the bare minimum and the fundamentals taken care of, then the opportunity can pass you by and you're going to miss out. So hold yourself accountable, educate yourself, make sure that you have all of the tools or most of the tools that you need that you can gather on your own in order to succeed when that opportunity comes.
Mic drop moment. Mic drop. Mic drop. And here is the thing. Everything you need, you can get. There's a book for it. There's a podcast for it. There's a YouTube video for it. Everything, all the information is out there. You can literally go learn from the best. Yes. You can go learn from the founder of Nike. He has a book. You can go learn from the founder of Google. He has a book. You can go learn from the founder. Everything's out there. So there are no excuses. I love that. Toussaint, perfection. Thank you so much to you and to the Nike team for speaking at this HBCU Fashion Summit, our very first, and we hope that you'll come back.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. And good luck, everybody. And as Brandis knows, I'm into mentorship work. Quite a few people from HFR have come my way. And if you feel free, reach out to me as a resource. I'd be happy to connect with each and every one.
Thank you so much, Toussaint. Thank you.
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, born and raised. I went to school at Howard University where I studied supply chain management, where I decided that I wanted to pursue business and be my own type of boss. That's where I started my own clothing line, and I was creating clothes where I could express myself in unique ways. And then I decided I wanted to learn more about finance so that way I could figure out the perfect way to launch a business, but still give back to the community, which enabled me to come back to LA. And that's where I was helping businesses with their overall production. So with their cut and sew, with their sublimation, and any type of style with the clothing that they were doing. And that's how SICE was born, as a way to be a springboard for the Black community. So teaching in different ways, whether it was production, whether it was actually mentoring people, and then giving back to the community in unique ways, we decided we wanted to pivot, and we wanted to continue by coming out with a collection called Protect Black People. And Protect Black People was directly with tapping into e-commerce. With e-commerce, we started to give back to different nonprofit organizations within the Black community. And it started to transcribe, and we got into handbags, 3D printing, embossing, and unique ways of creating apparel. It's been a journey. We've been able to solidify and create a platform that's had over 80,000 people that are part of this. And a big part of it is community. So with community, we've just continuously pivoted, we've continuously adjusted, and we've listened to what people want. And we've continued to make innovative products that keep getting better and better and better, while giving back to the hubs and the different organizations that helped us get to where we are as well. The one piece of advice that I have for everyone is to constantly evaluate what you're doing and figure out unique ways to pivot, grow, and then help those that are around you. Just because you're not actively out advocating for something does not mean that you're an activist, and does not mean that you're not part of that community. Everybody can give back in their unique ways. So as a designer, you can contribute in unique pieces, whether it's through art, whether it's through creativity, whether it's just through being your own person. You can always inspire other people. So your art isn't everything. Continue to do what you do and inspire those that are around you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kia Martin. I'm the owner and founder of Kiari's, which is a luxury shoe brand. I'm here with a few students from the Icon 360 Award, where we awarded at a few HBCUs. So you guys, could you please do a brief introduction of yourselves?
Well, I'm Kenyatta Smith. I'm a fashion merchandising major at Clark Atlanta University.
I'm Sydney Motley, and I'm an apparel design student at North Carolina Central University.
I'm Asia, and I'm a fashion design major at Bowie State University.
Awesome. So we're just going to get into a couple of questions that we have for you guys. The first question is, well, I attended a HBCU as well, Clark Atlanta University, and I was going back and forth with, which major I was actually interested in. So if you guys could provide your major and what interests you about it. Kenyatta, you can start.
Well, my major is fashion merchandising, and my interest in it, I realized as I was going into school, I didn't know what I wanted to study, and I was going to study, just plain business at first, but I realized that my interest really had to do with clothing and the way it's worn and the way it's sold. And, for me, it was like, do I want to do design? Do I want to try something new? Because I have no experience in design, but my experts are not there. I can visualize things, I can put things together, I can sell, I can give presentations, all the things that I need for merchandising. I can't draw, I'm not very good at sewing. So it's using my strengths to really capitalize on what I'm actually good at. And so that's not to say that I can't, dabble in or take classes in those things, but my major for me is I have good control or creative direction, or I'm good at giving a presentation or a speech about something that I've learned in fashion. And so for me, it's these are things that I've already been good at, and now I can really just become better at them. So my major for me, it felt like it fit perfectly.
Amazing. Sydney.
For me, I always knew what I wanted my major to be. Since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to go into fashion. So it was more deciding, I decided on this school and this program because we were able to be so broad with our major. We learned about merchandising and buying and everything. So that allowed me to kind of test the waters and see where I really wanted to go. And I thought I didn't want to go into design, but I actually realized I'm a really creative person, and I've always liked to draw. So this is just the avenue that fit for me.
Great.
I'm a lot like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a lot like Sydney. So I always knew I wanted to go into fashion as well since I was little. I've been always drawing and sketching and, everything. So I already knew once I reached college, that's what I wanted to go into. And being in the fashion design concentration, you learn a little bit of everything. You get to realize how many fields there are that you can go into. So I just like the fact that it's so diverse and I get an opportunity to be creative in any way that I want, really.
And speaking on like creativity, fashion has changed, especially within the last year. What do you guys hope to see in the fashion industry?
Personally, for me, and I feel like this is a common answer, but it's something that it still hasn't changed enough. I want to see more diversity and there's diversity in fashion, but in high fashion. So like we know that Jean Curry Raven was just able to become the first couture, like Black designer doing couture show in France. And it's like, it's 2021, why is he the first one? And we want to see more. It could have been a couple first, in one show if there needed to be in one fashion week. So I really want to see us as Black designers, as Black creatives being able to get on the top level. Because like we're here and our foot is in the door, but we're not respected and like put on the top same level as everyone else when it comes to high fashion. And I really want to see that change.
I totally agree. 100%. I was going to touch on that with Kirby, with Pyre Moss and everything. The fashion show was cool, but I'm like, why is he the first one? It didn't make any sense to me. So I 100% agree.
Awesome. So goal setting is important in any field. What's a big goal you have working for your future field? Start with Sydney.
Okay, well, I have a couple of goals, but my main one is after graduating college, I really want to work abroad. So hopefully in like Italy or France, maybe even Greece, on the corporate level, before I go back and get an MBA or something like that.
I think that's an awesome idea, just to get the experience and see how other cultures are, in the environment of other cultures. I think that's a great idea. Anybody else have any big goals?
My biggest goal, so even though I do fashion, like I have interest in all forms of entertainment. So I see myself doing fashion for like movies and music videos and celebrities and stuff like that. And so my biggest goal as I get further into my career is to make entertainment and the industry more accessible for people like us. So like young kids who say, I want to be a fashion designer, or I want to be a singer or a dancer, or whatever it is that they want to do. My goal is to make it accessible, make it easier for them to get into those spaces and to really have the opportunity to follow their dreams like the way that I can and we all can.
I love that. Just being able to you guys hear the feedback?
Yeah.
Or just and knowledge. And because when I started creating shoes, I didn't have a factory in mind. I didn't have anyone to create my samples. Just having someone or having a connection really helps you, develop your dreams and your goals. So that's really important. Another question is, what inspires you? Like when I create my shoes, I look at other women who are doing big things in the world, and even just looking at different textures and architecture, different things inspire me. So what's inspiration for all of you guys? Or someone who inspires you?
For me, my go-to inspiration has always been Rihanna. And it's been like that since young, but more so recently because I'm the type of person who has a million projects in mind, who wants to dabble in so many things, and I can't keep one focus. And so watching her branch out of what she started in and having a million different projects of all of them being successful and all of them being her image, they're not just her name, but like her image, the way she wants to run them, she still is active in her campaign. She still promotes every single product of hers, and she still lives her life and still has fun with everything she does. Like that's always like, I see it and I'm like, I don't want that to be me one day. I want to do everything that I want to do without feeling like, oh, I have to focus on this or focus on that.
That's amazing. What about you, Amy?
When you say what things like help inspire me, I like nature. I like looking at nature.
Or someone who inspires you.
Yeah. But then someone who inspires me, he's a fashion illustrator. His name is Hayden Williams. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of him, but just his story and the way that he started with fashion at an early age, just like I did. he has millions of followers now. He's worked with people like Kylie Jenner and Bratz, and he's had his own collection and stuff. I just like his story and his style and the way he draws. So he gives me inspiration on when I'm looking for things to draw, or, you know, what style people are going towards. I like looking at his work.
Awesome. So there are a lot of brands to choose from nowadays. There's, you know, businesses and brands popping up left and right. What are your favorite brands to shop, and how would you describe your style? Let's start with Sydney.
Brands to shop is really hard for me. My style is very all over the place. I get a lot of my inspiration from like the late 80s, early 90s, and I'm a huge like thrift shopper, so I love, like, especially during the fall and winter, trying to find those oversized sweaters, begging my uncles to give me their old stuff is my main thing right now. But during the summer, it's really hard for me because I love to be really girly during the summer. I love flowy dresses, puffy sleeves. I've been really into like the corset style. So anywhere I can find it I just grab it and run. It's really hard to find that type of stuff. I mean, I see it on the more expensive level at like House of CB, but for my budget, it's hard to find.
Agree. I love vintage shopping and just like things with, you know, texture and structural shoulders, things of that element. I love that type of stuff. So what about you, Asia?
I love streetwear. So like oversized baggy pants, chunky shoes, anything like that. I love it. It's like kind of casual, but it just gives me, I guess, an empowering kind of feel walking around like that. So yeah, I like streetwear.
Yeah.
My style changes a lot. Like, I have no consistency when it comes to my style at all. If you know me, you'll see like I change my hair like every 3 weeks or so. And so my style changes with that. With like where my favorite brands are, it's kind of hard. It's sick actually. I see it, I want it, I buy it. Like things just catch my eye and I buy them, and then later I fix my style to that. But I have like different niches of style, it just depends the mood. So maybe one week I'll wear nothing but black straight and I'll look kind of like, oh, she must be like on the gothier side, and I'll have like, you know, like cargos on with chains and all black on, and then you'll see me next week and I'm wearing bright pink and I'm like baby pink and really showing off and being a lot more girly. So it really depends on like my mood when I wake up. But it's like, I like to be variety. I like to have variety and to like keep them on their toes with my style.
That's great. So my experience at Clark Atlanta was personally amazing. The culture, the events, the environment, the education, it was just an awesome experience for me. So how was it how has it HBU shaped your experience versus going to a non-HBCU?
I personally love this question because I transferred into Clark Atlanta my sophomore year. And so I went to New York City College of Technology, and which is just a regular, almost community college. And I had a good experience when I was there. So it wasn't that I left because anything was wrong, but when I got to Clark, I definitely had a better one. I definitely feel like, especially when it comes to the department and when it comes to my professors and when it comes to the kind of relationships I can build, the kind of connections that I can make, I feel like it's been a lot better when I got here. So I did have good connections with professors and stuff when I was at a non-HBCU, but because everyone in the HBCU is just so much more close-knit, it feels like a family. I really get to build connections. I really get to feel like these are people that I'm gonna know for life, both my classmates or my professors. And it's like, you get certain opportunities. I couldn't be here right now if it wasn't for a professor who decided like, hey, I have a connection with her, a relationship with her, and I want to see opportunities for her. So I feel like I transferred in, I had that transition, and it's been nothing but great and beautiful since I did do that.
Amazing. Sydney or Avery?
I've been at an HBCU. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. I've been at an HBCU, the same one, for 4 years. I feel like it's a family. Everybody knows everybody. The campus isn't that big, but still, everybody knows everybody. So I feel like you can be yourself on an HBCU campus. You don't have to worry about anybody judging you. We're comfortable. You can be you and express your full Blackness, I guess. And then it's good seeing people succeed who look like you all around. You see other creatives out here. We're all striving for the same thing. So it's just empowering and inspiring when you can look at everybody. It's like, yeah, I got you. We're going to do this together. Like, so I love my HBCU.
That's amazing. Sydney?
For me, I didn't decide I wanted to go to an HBCU until like the very last minute. I had my head set on art school. I got into my dream school, and it wasn't until I took a tour here that I decided that this was the place for me. And I don't regret my decision at all. I don't think my experience would have been the same at all. To have teachers who are really like supportive of me and really strive to help you succeed, especially because campus, like our major is so small. We really have a close relationship with each other and our teachers, and it's not really competitive. We're really supportive and jokingly competitive with each other. So it's really enjoyable to just have fun and goof around with them all day.
Awesome. So that's all of the questions. Thank you guys for taking the time out. Answer the questions and chat with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited about this conversation because it happens to be one of my favorite people, Ms. Terry Roberts, who is the Vice President of Employment Law and the Chief Inclusion and Diversity Officer at American Eagle Outfitters. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you, Brandis. Super excited. You know, you're one of my favorite people.
Let me tell you, Terry, I have to give you guys a quick little background real quick. The first time Terry and I talked, we had talk like we were sitting on the porch drinking sweet tea somewhere in the South. It was a good time, Terry. I'll never forget that.
Me neither.
So AEO recently partnered with HFR for an internship program for HBCU students. What was the impact that you were hoping to have on these students, and what successes do you think came out of that program?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to thank HFR. You all are amazing partners, and you know we couldn't imagine having better partners in this whole experience than HFR. You know, you're knocking it out the park. I don't have to tell you that, but I'm still going to tell you anyway. So you know, one of the things that I hope to get out of it for the students, obviously, we wanted to get them to get exposure to the fashion and retail industry. It don't hurt to get a paycheck, right? It's all good. It's always good to get a paid job. But more than anything, me personally, what I wanted to do is tell them, like, hey, get out your comfort zone. Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It happens when you get out, when you meet new people, when you get new experiences, get into an environment that you're not used to. And you know how I like to talk, Brandis. And so I got an opportunity to talk to the interns, our Black interns, our two amazing HFR interns. And that's one thing I really wanted to let them know. And, I hope that's something they took out of it. Yeah. As a success. Yeah. Look, AEO is built on this power of youth. We make clothes for everyone, but, it's no secret that, young folks or college folks are our core demographic. And, it was a success for us to get amazing students to even be at AEO. I always say we get a lot more out of this than they do. And I think they get something out of it. And so, that's why it was just an amazing success for us, because we just got to meet these amazing, amazing students.
They love that conversation with you, Terry. I heard they didn't go back either. I heard they let it all.
Well, you know me, Brandis. I am the anti-hold back censor person, and so whenever I get a chance to talk to somebody, you're going to get the real me every time, and I think that's how you build trust. I tell nothing's perfect, but if you can trust somebody and know you're getting the real. I mean, you're halfway there. And so, I love that conversation.
That is so true. I love that. How was this internship different from others that AEO has done in the past?
Right. So, one thing we wanted to do was incorporate our HFR interns into our larger intern group. Like, this isn't a matter of people being different or anything, like not. You're part of that pipeline. You're part of the folks that we see as hopefully potential future members of the AEO team. So, our partnership in one way was one of the differences, right? And I'll just give y'all a shout out. If you think Brandis Daniel is just somebody who's a figurehead sitting up there, that's false. I mean, I talk to folks and you are on the ground, you are speaking with these young people, you are giving them help and mentoring. So that to me was one difference. And two, it was a virtual program because as we know, we are in challenging times. And, that's something that obviously is different. But I think what we're going to do is learn from that. I mean, there are benefits to having a virtual program. But, me personally, particularly with our interns of color, what I want to do is we make sure that we give them even more support and build that community. Because when it is virtual, you don't just run into folks in the office, right? It's not as easy as being together on a happy hour or after work event. And so, one thing I actually did too late is, hook up some folks with our ERGs and some of our Black ERGs, but that's something we're going to do in the future because I'm a big believer in community. And I think, that's going to be also something that's a little different is that we can incorporate sort of that larger AEO community to really embrace the interns.
I love that. Terry, I think you and I actually share a passion. Like I love mentoring young people. Yes. As a matter of fact, that's one of HFR culture codes is that awesome. We are an environment that nurture young talent. So I think because that's like so true to who I am, and thinking to who you are, it just helps make the entire experience more rich because we can really prepare them from an honest way on like what to expect, and how to come.
What's it really going to be like, because, here's what these young people bring to the table or students of any age is that they bring intelligence. I think they're excited. They have that passion. They have the skills. But I think what we can bring to them is sort of that knowledge and experience of navigating spaces, but also understanding get whatever you can from these experiences. Like this is a long game. This is a marathon. I tell people, I like to see people succeed. I like to see Black people succeed. And so ultimately, I hope it's at AEO, but ultimately, I just want to see us win. And so, when you have folks like yourself, HFR, and if I can do a little bit on the side, like that's a win in my book.
Look, that's a mic drop moment right there.
No.
That was an Issa Rae moment. Okay, so how can the students who are watching this right now, they may be saying, okay, Terry Roberts, how do I find out more about AEO and other internships that you offer?
I'm going to look down because I told the recruiters I wasn't going to mess this up. Email campusrecruiting@ae.com. That's just one word, campusrecruiting@ae.com. That's a way to make sure you're getting in contact right away with some of the recruiters I actually spoke to before this event to make sure that there's a direct line. And as always, y'all can find me. The fact of the matter is I am not someone who hides. So, if you want to reach out to me, if you want to know more, always reach out to me. I encourage that. As Brandis said, I love talking and mentoring and helping people out. And I'll obviously make sure that you get in touch with the right individuals with our recruiting department. So this is exciting. This is awesome stuff.
This is so exciting. Thank you so much, Terry. Please give my thanks to the AEO team. This was an incredible experience for HFR. And we're excited about working with you in the future. And students, more to come. Please send that email. Terry, give us that email one more time.
Yes, campusrecruiting@ae.com.
Okay, campusrecruiting@ae.com. Guys, half of the battle is follow up. Follow up, shoot them an email, and introduce yourself. Terry,
you're not bothering us. You're not, let me tell you, you're not bothering us. You're not bothering us. Keep it up.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Terry, thank you so much for being with us. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you, Brandon. You're awesome.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all for HFR's HBCU Fashion Summit. My name is Kalia Braxton. I am a proud graduate of Spelman College, class of 2016, and I'm currently sitting as the Branded Entertainment Strategy Manager at Condé Nast, where I oversee branded entertainment for our style division. So I know that was long-winded. Let's just get into it. Basically, what I do is I help brands come to my organization, which is Condé Nast Entertainment, and figure out where and how to strategically create branded content and where to place it. So our style division includes Vogue, GQ, Glamour, Allure, and Vanity Fair magazines. And basically, my day-to-day is responding to RFPs, which are requests for proposals. This is when brands come to us and say, hey, we're Prada, we want to work with Vogue. How do we do that? And then I come up with the strategy on how does that get done? Where does it get placed? Where does it live? And so that's what my day-to-day looks like on average. Of course, there are other things that come up like client meetings, sitting on calls with the client, helping them figure out what they actually want to do. But most of the time I'm strategically figuring out, are we on TikTok? Are we on YouTube? Is it going on Instagram? How do we do that? You want to talk to 18 to 22-year-olds. How do you get them to do that? And I am always working with beauty and fashion brands. That is what the style division includes. So now that we got that out the way, let's just jump into it. How did I get into my field? Well, here's the truth. After graduating Spelman, I came back to New York, that's where I'm from, and I didn't have a job. And I was an intern for HFR, and Brandis basically told me, just come to the conference and help out. Well, I went to her conference at the time. It was the Great Girlfriends Conference. And guys, like, I was just volunteering. I was also trying to be at my mother's house because she was already annoyed with me for not having a job after coming home. And while there, I was just my authentic self. And I was introduced to a woman that worked at L'Oreal. And she told me to send her my resume. I sent her my resume. I had a slew of interviews and I ended up getting a role. And so it wasn't in fashion, it was in beauty, but working at L'Oreal in this role just exposed me to like another side of this wonderful industry. So I let the ball roll, you know. I started off at L'Oreal. Then I said, oh, forget corporate America. I'm starting my own thing. Became an entrepreneur. And I was like, okay, wait, I need more training. Jumped back in. And when I jumped back into corporate America, I landed a role at Condé Nast. Not in the role that I'm in currently, but it was a more junior role that helped me figure out what I wanted to do within this new world, entertainment. And so I did a few things. And ultimately I landed this role. And to be honest, I'm summing it up really quickly, but because the story is very long, guys. But what I did was I set my intentions, I went after them, and I didn't take no for an answer. And that was it. So when I didn't get the role at one brand that I really wanted to work at, I didn't stop. I just kept having coffee chats with people and telling, you know, my potential managers what it is that I wanted to do and figuring out what was the best fit. And after 2 years of being in various roles, this one, the branded entertainment managerial role, that's what I landed in. It was honestly worth the wait, guys. Like, it was what I wanted to do. It married beauty and fashion. It wasn't at one magazine, but it was across all the magazines, Vogue, GQ, Glamour, Allure. Like, where could I have stopped? So it was perfect. And honestly, that is how I got to this place. I never stopped. I took all opportunities. And I mean, I did my best, and my best, I would say, paid off. What would I say? One challenge that I had during my journey was honestly, the one challenge that I had during my journey would be reminding myself that I was capable and that I deserved, right? Because again, you know, on Instagram and everywhere else, we show the highlight reel where we did good, what we got, what we were awarded with. But guys, there are no's in between those yeses. And there are, you know, times where you don't feel like, man, I got this, or man, did I do the right thing in college? Like, did I get the right degree? Am I qualified? And keeping your heart aligned with your journey, and remembering, like, hey, head in the game, head down, do the work. That's nicely said, but that becomes difficult sometimes. So the challenge that I had, and sometimes I still have, is just remembering that, one, I'm definitely deserving of anything that I put my mind to. And two, even if I'm told no, I'm still worthy. And so to keep going. And the way that I've overcome, or the way that I deal with that, because I won't say I overcame any of those thoughts, was just, one, mentors, being honest with the people that were rooting for me, but then two, never stopping, even when I felt like, man, this is not happening. Like, I'm not getting it. I never stop. I'm not stopping. You can tell me no, I'll go another way. You can put up a stop sign, I'll make a left. Like, I'm not gonna stop. So that is a challenge, just remaining faithful, and then reminding myself that I got this even when I feel like I don't. And hey, sometimes you're told no, but when you are told yes, you guys got to keep going. And then I do want to give you guys one tip that I would like to share about, like, working in this fashion industry, that I think we may skip over. The role will come, the organization is going to come, the glitz and the glam will be there. But one thing you need to remember is to thy own self be true. Okay. It's an old quote, it's an old saying. My mom always tells me this, but it's a fact. You're going to get into spaces and rooms that celebrate you, but may make you feel small. You may make relationships with people that you feel like will take you further, and they may not. And then you feel inadequate. And I want you to know that this industry is tough, but so is every other industry. The work is hard, but you have to put in the hard work no matter what. And so the tip I will tell you is, to thy own self be true. Never falter, never do anything that is beyond or outside of what you stand for. Your character remains. And so definitely stay true to who you are, no matter what comes your way. And I think that when you remember that, all of the things that you deserve, want, and desire will come, and it will happen in the way that it's supposed to. And so I hope that didn't feel like circles, but ultimately what I'm saying is, you are going to get what you want, so long as you go out there and put in the hard work. Okay. There are no handouts. You got to work hard. But when you get in those spaces, always stay true to who you are. Do not do things that are outside of who you are. If you stand for one thing, don't falter just because you think it'll get you to the next. And when you stay true to yourself, all the things that come your way will align with who you are. So that is my take, guys. I'm so happy that I got this chance to talk to you guys candidly about my journey, what I do, and what I would do while being on this journey. I hope that you all are, exploring opportunities and figuring out what you like and what you don't. And most importantly, I hope that you guys stay faithful, because no matter what happens on your journey, what is supposed to happen, what will come, will. And with that being said, I am out. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And I am so excited that you all are pursuing your careers and at your HBCUs and moving steadfast in your light. Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us for the HBCU Fashion Summit. I am so excited to have our three guests: Danielle Brown, lead fashion professor for Bowie State University; Dr. LaPortia Davis from Tennessee State University; and Jane O'Peary, assistant professor from University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. We have a few questions for you. And the first is, tell us a bit about your journey to becoming a professor in a fashion university.
So during undergrad, my last semester, my advisor at the time, which I have to thank every year from now on, approached me and she said, you know, your peers respect you, and as your advisor and your professors, we respect you, and we think you should go into teaching fashion. I looked at her crazy, and I said, no, I have a fashion degree. I'm getting ready to graduate. I'm moving to New York. I'm going to design clothes. I don't have time for this teaching thing you're talking about. And she said, I really think you should think about it. We'll pay for your master's. And I said, no, I don't want my master's. I have my bachelor's is good enough, you know, being young and naive. And she said, really, really think about it. And I turned the position down 5 times, actually. And then she finally, the last 2 weeks of classes, she said, just do it 1 semester. And if you really hate it, then I will personally buy your plane ticket to New York. And I said, okay. And I have not stopped since. So she was right. And I love it.
That's amazing.
So my journey to become a fashion professor started after my undergrad. Having studied in Africa, I actually did home economics. I loved everything home economics. And I loved more the fashion parts. I am that who would critique that, okay, this sleeve is not well done. Those gathers are not even. The zipper is at the wrong place. So I just loved, and I loved drafting the styles. I would see a fashion and come and draft it and just do an illustration of it and try even to make for my doll those days growing up. So my mom told me, you could be a very good fashion teacher. And so starting to teach in high school and moving on to do my grad school, I just wanted to impart the skills that I have into the next generation. I didn't just want to have them. I wanted them to know how do you sew? How do you get style? How do you figure out things and style them together to make something that is so creative and so beautiful? And that's how my journey started, just coming up and mentoring the young ones so that my skills don't end with me. Somebody else picks them up and runs with them to the generations to come and the future.
I love that so much, just paying it forward. That's amazing. And Dr. Davis, what about you?
So my journey actually started when I was at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So that is where I also graduated from with my undergraduate degree. And I went up to one of my professors and I just said, okay, can you tell me a little bit more about this process? Because I'm truly interested. I enjoyed all my classes at the time, and I really wanted to pretty much like pursue it further because I just enjoyed all of my classes. I enjoyed how the professors were teaching at the time. So I knew if they could do it, I can do it too. So I definitely wanted to just prevail in that sense of taking my career a bit further within fashion as a professor.
That's great. I love that. And so what steps are you taking to ensure your students learn the history of fashion and keep up with what's happening now? Because that's very different.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. So we try to tackle it from 2 different ends. Of course, through curriculum, we do literally have a history of fashion course. And then some of the projects that we just incorporate in the other classes that are current events, projects that they have to complete. And then what we try to do at Bowie is we try to push the students out into real life experiences. So they're on the set of movies or behind the scenes of a fashion show, different things like that, where it's hands-on on the job training, that they do have to take what they learned from their history and incorporate it to your up-to-date experience.
That's great. And what about you, Dr. Davis?
So one thing that is pretty similar as well with the professor from Bowie State University, we definitely try to infuse the curriculum with things that's actually going on currently in the industry. But before, what I really love about like our fashion program is that we have these introduction classes to fashion. And one thing that I do is before the textbooks, I definitely allow the students to know that, you know, fashion just didn't start with these designer brands. So I definitely create like this timeline of letting them know from the 1700s leading up to what is going on now currently with the industry trends, that, you know, it just didn't start with the Chanel, it just didn't start with the Prada, because, you know, students are so focused on these designer brands, but they're forgetting like where it actually started from. So that's one thing that I do and that I truly love, because that opens the eyes for the students to say, oh, okay, so there are some background things that the textbooks are not really showing. So I definitely wanted to just create a timeline for the students to let them know that, you know, fashion did start in the late 18 to 1700s. So you can definitely learn a bit more why you're so passionate behind certain things if you know more of that history.
That's fantastic. And Dr. Apiri, your department was awarded a grant from HFR's nonprofit organization, Icon 360. Can you share with the students watching some of the things that will be put into place using the funding?
All right, thank you, Ms. Harris. First, I'm so grateful for this fund that we got for our institution. And my students, as one of my students gave a support letter, she was so excited and she was looking forward to have this money really help them. So one way this money is going to help my students is, given that my students, most of them are first generation graduates, limited funds. And when I give them design projects, for example, have almost 3-4 weeks, they do not have the resources they need. They do not have the fabric. They're telling me, or Dr. Piri, I have to wait for my paycheck. And the paycheck takes forever. So after 2 weeks, you ask them, they say they had a more emergency compared to getting fabric and getting the patterns they need for the project. So this fund will help my students because they'll get the materials they need on time. They'll get the resources they need, the fabrics, the patterns, the fabrics for the dummy project first, and then get fabrics to enable them to create the final project for their exam. So it will go a long way, and also giving us an opportunity to create a fashion show. So students will be excited because besides just getting the money for their supplies, they'll get the scholarships to enable them to continue with their tuition, and then they will participate in the fashion show. And in the fashion show, we'll have prizes. We'll sit together and see what can they win. And as individuals, when you have a prize to look forward to, you are motivated. And given that my students are really motivated, this will be an extra motivation to come up with creative ideas, develop designs that they can compete for in the fashion show project, and at the same time, win gifts that will enable them look forward to getting a career in the fashion industry. So generally, that is what the funds will be helping us. And this is a very, very good project. We are looking forward to a great semester where the students will come and just come and be told, you don't have to look for the fabric. You're not going to look for the thread. We have everything for you. At the end of it, you have scholarship. At the end of it, there's a fashion show in the spring where you will show what you have made, and they'll be so excited and look forward to that.
We love, love, love your passion. Thank you so much for expressing in detail where these resources will be invested. And, you know, we remember a very thoughtful and emotional conversation with Danielle Brown about fabric and resources and upcycling. And Danielle, you really educated us on some of the investment from even the faculty to support how students were needed the investment. Will you share actually where the Icon 360 resources will be invested in your program at Bowie State? Because you really enlightened us, and that was actually one of our favorite conversations. So among many, but you really changed our perspective.
Oh, wonderful. I will have to 100% agree with Professor Opiri. It's 85, 90% of the problem that we bump into with our students is just lack of resources. So this grant is life-changing for them, literally. It is between them passing classes. And I get the same thing, Professor, where it's, I'm waiting for my paycheck, I'm putting myself through classes, I'm waiting for my refund check, different things like that. So this has limited, and we've had this conversation before with Ms. Harris, this has limited our students from just being able to graduate on time because they needed an extra semester to save up money for resources just to sew their fashion line for their final project. So this is really gonna open up just the doors that should already be open for them. And as professors, we do what we can, but eventually our pockets are empty also trying to pour into our students. So with this grant, of course, we will be able to supply the individual scholarships that they so severely need in order to just get through the semester. And then of course, just providing those resources. We're gonna create a fabric room. I've already had the space, I just needed the money, so I'm waiting for that. And then, of course, just updated software. When they're going into the workforce now, their software is different than when we graduated. So that computer aided design, they need that, and that software is expensive. So it's really opening a lot of doors where students don't have to choose, they don't have to choose between, okay, do I try to get resources and graduate, or do I pay for gas to get to class? And it's really that big of a difference. So
fantastic. And my last question is for Dr. Davis. What do you hope for the future of HBCU fashion programs?
I really do hope that the HBCU programs will continue to emerge the technology for the students, because I have also experienced that students will literally switch their majors because our programs do not have the equipment that they need, or they will transfer to other schools, predominantly PWI schools. They are leaving to go to those schools because they have more technology than what the HBCU programs actually does for fashion. And just as Professor Brown said, the industry is totally different from when we actually started. So having that computer aid design, that's what I do hope that, emerging technology and education can continue with HBCU fashion programs so students can be more competitive within the industry.
Amazing. Ladies, thank you so much for a rich and dynamic conversation. We are proud to support your universities, and we look forward to continuing to invest. Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the summit. Danielle. I'm the CEO and founder of Harlem's Fashion Row, and I am so excited for this real talk that we're about to have. I have with me here Frances Armand, who I will have introduce herself and shout out her HBCU, as well as Bettina Benson. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Frances, to do a quick intro.
Good afternoon or good morning, depending on what time you're tuning in. My name is Frances Armand, and my wonderful and illustrious HBCU is Clark Atlanta University. I am a proud Panther to the core. And I am the founder of Armand Consulting PR. It's a boutique PR agency that focuses on fashion, beauty, wellness, as well as talent.
Love it. Thank you, Frances. Bettina?
Hi, I'm Bettina Benson, founder and creative director of Chloe Kristen. We celebrate the evolution of women through the art of design. And I hail from Florida A&M University. I'm a 2007 graduate of the School of Business and Industry.
I love that. So wait a minute, Frances, what did you graduate in? What was your degree in?
Oh, business administration with a concentration in international business.
Okay, so this is interesting because you both graduated with business degrees. You're both in fashion. You both own your own businesses. Very interesting. I want to talk. So students are here. They're like, give us the real. And I think the first question I'm going to ask you is, what do you think it takes to make it in fashion as a Black person?
The key word is tenacity. You have to have drive. You have to have vision, and also creativity. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be able to actually sketch and design. I think any facet in the fashion industry, if it's the business side, if it's the creative side, even now with like digital marketing, you need a sense of creativity. And then as far as business, meaning like thinking strategically on just different ways you can help a company. So it really, in fashion, but I think across the board, that goes for any industry. But I know in fashion, creativity and able to think outside the box and having that drive will take you so far.
I love that. I'm going to ask you a separate question, Bettina, but you can come back to that. Frances mentioned tenacity. Can you give us a time when you really had to go there and pull out all the tenacity that you had with your business?
Yeah. The word also that comes to mind is grit. And so I think that we have all, like, if I'm talking to you today, Frances is here today because we made it through the last 18 months. And that took grit. Every day, starting from when the world shut down, being in this business, figuring out what we were going to do, that took a mindset, a certain mindset, and it took grit. And so the specific example for me is, when all of my wholesale orders were being canceled, I thought about, okay, it wasn't easy to get to this point, and I made it. I walked away from my cushy job, and I committed to growing this business. So if I can get to this point, I can get over this hump. And so what we did, or what I chose to do, was I chose to expand upon a direct sales program that I'd actually been piloting myself, and got on the computer, reached out to women that had the background experience that I was looking for, via LinkedIn, via email, any way I could get in touch with people. And, I don't take no for an answer. A no is a not yet. And so ended up connecting with 2 women who I brought on as my sales directors. And by the fall launch, we had a sales team of 20 women that we launched in the middle of the pandemic. And so anytime, and I think the gift of grit is that you're creating experiences that you can lean on, and you can say, oh yeah, I did that. Like I did that, and so when times get tough, and we all still have them, that's something I look back to and to reflect on.
I love that. You're talking about these last 18 months. We've all had to call on something that was bigger than ourselves in this moment. Goodness gracious. What do you think it takes? Bettina, I'll come back to you. What do you think it takes to get your foot in the door in retail and fashion? And if you could give us something very tangible, like students are sending their resumes off, what are people looking for?
So I have a sales background. I was in medical sales for 13 years before I, transitioned to this full time. And, one of the things that I learned there is relationships matter. And that, sending out a resume or a note, you're in a pool of people, you got to figure out a way to stand out. And so, you know, reaching out to people directly, a huge question is, you know, okay, well, who else do you know? If someone can't do something in particular for you, who else do you know? Or do you have any other suggestions? Asking that question can open up a world of possibilities. Being able to reach out to people directly, finding their contact information, reaching out to them directly, and your network is your net worth. You know, and tangible examples of that are Birmingham, Alabama is a great market for us. I went to a conference and met a group of women, and have become part of this group that we call ourselves the Golden Girls. There's a story behind that. But that was how a woman in that group is basically how I got a store, an account in Mountain Brook, Alabama. And then we got another account in Mountain Brook, Alabama. And now we service Birmingham, Alabama, on just like a direct sales basis. So through those connections, through that one connection, I got in with women that are executives for the utility company. And then they hosted a trunk show for me, and I met more women. And I just had a call yesterday with a contact from one of the utility company executives. So all of that came from going to a conference and making friends with one woman 3.5 years ago.
Wow. Relationships. We don't talk about it enough. Relationships are so important. Francis, what about you? What do you think? What's something tangible that you can give students that it takes to really get in the door?
Research. The information is at your disposal. Back when I started, I'm not going to age myself.
Oh Lord, Francis, don't do one of those.
I'm not aging myself.
That's when I started.
You know, coming out of a business background and didn't know anything about fashion, knowing that only thing I knew is that I wanted to get into the fashion industry. So network is important, but also researching the industry. What is it about? Like I was always fascinated about couture in the luxury space. So I had to find out who's the insider in that luxury space. Who are the editors? Who are the celebrity stylists? Like I really took the time buying magazines and just looking up any articles I can find, just so I can learn about the industry that I want to get into, because I'm not familiar with it. And I think nowadays with social media and just Google, all that information is right in front of you. And it's good to have that information. So when you speak to key people, you can have a conversation so they know that the person I'm going to hire knows about this industry. They're not coming in. Of course, you're coming in green, but you have some type of knowledge, and it shows that you're really interested in it. You're really passionate about it, and that you're willing to grow and learn. So research is definitely key.
I love that. That's so important. When you're meeting with somebody and having that first contact, they want to know that you understand something about the fashion industry.
Yes.
What would you say, Francis, was your biggest challenge in being Black and breaking into the fashion industry?
The biggest challenge for me would be the fact that I'm a small business and I'm a woman, a Black woman at that, reaching out to luxury brands. Usually luxury brands, I mean, they're sold in like a Bergdorf, or back then a Barney's, a Saks. So it's coming in and really proving myself, saying that I'm the agency that you need to work with. And I'm competing with, the top fives back then, like the top fives in New York. So for me, that was the challenge. I had to overcome insecurities about that. There's a motto that Clark Atlanta, when you enter into the school, and it says, find a way or make a way. And I had to take that motto with me in starting this business. Like if someone said no, I'm like, okay, I'm going to find out why they said no and then go to the next person and figure out how I can get them as a client. And till this day, I still use that motto. I still have that mindset, and I'm no longer, I mean, I realized I had to know my worth. And I think that's all students, even if you're coming in, you feel like, oh, I'm a novice at this. You have to know that you are an asset and not a liability. So that's something, starting my business, I had to learn that I have something to give. I have a place in this world. I mean, we're in America, so everyone has an opportunity. So you have to realize in your mind, you have a place here and you deserve to be here.
I love that, because sometimes we struggle, right, with that imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. I don't know if I can do this. Are they better? You know, all the things. But what I heard and what you just said was that absolutely you have what it takes. You find a way, or you make a way. Get going. Don't let anything deter you from stepping out there. Bettina, we're going to end on you. What was your biggest challenge and kind of in getting your foot started in fashion, and how did you work through that?
Yeah, so, coming into this industry with no background experience, there definitely was that learning curve. And I've, been fortunate to be able to learn so much from my team that I've been able to build along the way. But coming into it, not having that background was, overcoming the perceptions of, a Black woman that's offering a luxury product, and how much people think it should cost, or what people think it should, think it's worth. Especially when you see all these other brands and products on the market that probably aren't as great as yours, and people, don't blink at the price. But I think with that, I also had to confront my own issues with imposter syndrome. And, ultimately what I came, to realize is that because I am a Black woman, that, even on my average day, I'm twice as good as most others. And so, just by way of life, quality is at core, because I always have to show up as my best, but that's just part of my character too. And so, there's a mutual exchange of benefit. Like, yes, I'm offering you something, but you're also getting something by supporting me and supporting this business. And again, just not taking anything personal. Francis talked about the business school motto at Clark, and ours was no excuse is acceptable and no amount of effort is adequate until proven effective. And so eventually, when you approach anything that you're doing with the right energy, the right mindset, you keep putting that effort into it, you're eventually going to get something in return. And you know what? Sometimes it just boils down to finding your kind of people. I think that you have to come into this industry knowing who you are and knowing who you want to serve, because there are so many voices and opinions that are going to come at you. But you have to filter that and ultimately bring it back to who you are, why you're here, what you want to accomplish, and who you're serving.
I love that. These school models, my goodness. My goodness. Thank you so much, Francis and Bettina. We so appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you.
I know that y'all are like taking notes, writing it down. These were gems, absolute gems. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Hello, I am Asia Malai Ware. I'm a Hampton University alum, and I'm currently a junior fashion and beauty writer at New York magazine, The Cut. So I got my start in the fashion industry back in 2013, 2015, around that time when I was at Hampton University. I really just started interning. I knew that I wanted to work in the fashion industry, and I had to network and do a lot of internships. And so I did. I interned with everyone from New York Fashion Week to New York's Hot 97 to being a college ambassador for Essence magazine. When I graduated, I was an intern at InStyle magazine. And honestly, just networking and working hard and making myself seen and going above and beyond in all these places really helped me to get where I am today. I would say a challenge that I definitely faced along the way was just being a Black girl who wasn't a size 2. I felt like I didn't look like anybody, who worked in the fashion industry. When I was growing up, I never saw anyone who looked like me. And that was a challenge because I really would just tell myself when I was going into these places, like, you have to show up as yourself all the time, which is challenging when you don't see people who look like you. But as I got further in the industry, I met more Black people, I met more like-minded people. It was a lot more easier to just be real and be like, hey, this is me, and accept it or don't accept it. And so a piece of advice that I would give to anyone who wants to work into the fashion industry is don't ever be too good for anything. Like, do the menial things, go above and beyond, get the lunch. If your title is only to do 3 things, do 6 things. Really just go above and beyond in anything that you're doing. And yeah, good luck to you all.
To be here today. I'm Kia, the owner and founder of Kiari, which is a luxury shoe brand. I'm here with a few students from the Icon 360 grant, which was awarded a grant for a few of the HBCUs. So guys, could you give a brief introduction of yourselves?
Hello, my name is Sydney Griffith. I am from Chicago, Illinois. I'm currently a senior, graduating senior at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, majoring in merchandising, textiles, and design.
Amazing.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Sneeves, and I am from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I go to North Carolina A&T State University. I'm majoring in fashion, merchandising, and design with a minor in psychology.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Hi, I am Jeffrey Thomas. I'm a senior fashion and merchandising major from Nashville, Tennessee, a graduating senior, and I am at Tennessee State University.
Hello guys, my name is Gloria Mahler. I currently reside in Danville, Virginia. I am a upcoming senior at Norfolk State University, and I major in fashion design.
Awesome. So let's jump into the questions. Selecting a major could be difficult when attending college. What are you guys' majors, and what was the interesting thing about selecting that major?
I can go first on that one. So yeah, I'm a fashion merchandising and design major. And so our program at A&T combines the two. So you get education and knowledge in fashion design, as well as fashion business and merchandising, and all that good stuff. But when choosing my major, I wanted to focus heavily on the fashion merchandising side because I am more interested in the business side of the fashion industry. And the main thing that got me interested in that specifically was I actually saw a documentary once about New York Fashion Week. And for a segment of the documentary, it followed this man around named Ken Downing. And he was the senior vice president and fashion director for Neiman Marcus for like a long time. And so it was following him around, and I just saw, the influence he had, and I saw the life that he was living, and I really sat down, because at first when I was younger, I thought, fashion design that's all the fashion industry is, just about fashion design. And when I saw that, it really kind of opened my eyes into how much more there is in the fashion industry. And so seeing him, and I just really felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like I could do that and be successful at it. And for someone like me who is really creative, but also who also values academics and intellect structure, it allows that flexibility to still be in the fashion industry, which is a creative industry, but still be in that kind of that more right brain lane. So that's kind of what drove me to my major.
Awesome.
Okay, well, like once again, my major is merchandising, textiles, and design. I started my freshman year at UAPB, fall 17 as a biology major, actually. And I stayed with it for a while, for about 2 years, until I realized that it was something that I really wasn't interested in. Fashion to me was just a hobby. It wasn't something that I thought could be a career, even though you see more African American people becoming successful in fashion. Growing up, you did not see that. So I decided to focus on a passion instead of something that was practical. So that's how I chose my major, and I've been loving it ever since.
Awesome.
So I chose mine based off my university. In a sense, I looked at other PWIs that had accelerated fashion programs, and I'm actually a Tennessee State legacy. So of course my family was definitely going for Big Blue. But when I got here, we had fashion and merchandising. And even though I'm more in the design realm of the fashion industry, I found out that our program gave you both the design and like Lauren said, that fashion education. So not only do we know how to, design clothes to a certain aspect, but we know how to run our business, keep our books. So with my major, with my major being at Tennessee State, I was able to learn about fashion and also incorporate that. We were always taught to use your campus as your test market. So with that knowledge firsthand, I created a clothing line just for my university. So we've kind of got the best of both, the best of both worlds here, in creating the two. But I chose mine off of my university. I still wanted to come to HBCU, and I'm glad I decided to go ahead and do fashion merchandising, and stick at that design aspect as well.
So for me, as far as how I chose my major, I knew that I always wanted to do something relating to fashion and the fashion industry. So like, even when I was like in middle school, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, like, when I get older. And Norfolk State, they had fashion merchandising, but right before I came, they had like did away with that, and they was doing like just fashion design. So due to the fact that I was still interested, I did go with fashion design. But once I started actually like getting into the classes and stuff, that's when I started realizing that it was actually more than just fashion design when it came to fashion. And I'm actually leaning more towards the textile industry of everything. So we learned some of that at Norfolk State, and that's what I plan on pursuing like once I leave Norfolk State. But that's pretty much how I came into it.
I love that you guys are actually going for, something that you're passionate about, because when I attended Clark Atlanta University, which is the HBCU, and I wanted to do fashion, but I just, like Sydney said, you want to do something you're passionate about, but something more practical. So I just decided to pursue the business aspect, and lo and behold, like 10 years later, I'm actually doing fashion. So I just kind of regret not doing business and fashion when attending college. So I think you guys are 10 steps ahead of those who are like afraid to really go after what they are really passionate about. So the next question is that, there's been a few changes within the fashion industry. What do you hope to see in the fashion industry next?
I can go on that one. For me, specifically because I'm always like the only guy in the classroom, I really want to see more males tap into this industry. Fashion is so broad now, and especially with brands like Telfar, we're really starting to see like fashion is, and also what a lot of people don't understand, especially with going to HBCU, that fashion in a sense is kind of like a male dominated world because of the brands, all these brands that we love and that we admire, these fashion houses, they're men. And somewhere in between that time, it became very feminine, where that's for women, that's what the girls do. It's like, well, what are you wearing? You're wearing Christian Dior. That's a guy. But I would definitely like to see a little more diversity amongst the male ratio.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I would say something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is wanting to see more, I mean, Black, but also just other people of color in, those executive leadership roles, those top dog roles who really make the rules instead of follow them. I watched a webinar last semester as a part of one of my classes with the business of fashion, and they had Telsha Anderson and Sam Lobin, I think that was his name, but he was a vice president, I think, at Nordstrom in their buying department or something like that. And they were talking about the future of buying and what that looks like for retailers. And they were discussing, it's great. And I 100% agreed with everything they said, because they were talking about how great it is that, so many of these companies and brands are opening doors to help people like us get our foot in the door. But also there are so many people who got their foot in the door and have been, climbing and working and has still been stifled from reaching that, those top spots. And I would really like to see the changes and innovations that could be made by people being able to gain those opportunities. And I feel like a lot of hot water that these companies find themselves in, they could easily avoid by having, people who understand the issues at the top.
Absolutely. And another thing, goal setting is really important in any field. So what's the big goal you have work for you in your future field? Gloria or Sydney? Answer.
That one was a hard one for me, because I've been looking at that question like, I don't want to just say I want to have my own brand, because everybody wants to have their own brand. Like, that's a goal of mine, to be able to connect with other HBCUs like I'm doing now and other students. I've always been big on helping people. So just in the future, I hope that I'm in the position to help people at my HBCU more than the help that I've received myself.
Awesome.
Yeah, basically backing up on what Sydney said, the goal for me is to really, like, when it comes to my future career, I really want to progress and learn everything that I can learn, and then eventually, give back to someone else who, because it's a lot of people, I feel like, who are somewhat scared to pursue fashion. And like, with me being like one of those people when I first came in, because you always have like people in the back of your ear telling you, oh, well, you're not going to make much money doing, so and so and so. So for me, I really just want to learn everything that I can get out of my career, and then basically share it with people around me. And like she said, like, give back to like HBCUs and stuff like that, and just let them know, like, hey, like, this is what I did, you can do it too.
I love that. So we're all inspired by people and their stories and their achievements. Who's someone that inspired you and why?
So many.
The person that I think inspires me the most at this current time is Kirby Jean Moss, the creator of Pyre Moss. The first time I ever saw him was on this Amazon Prime design contest, and they wanted him to eliminate the Black contestants so bad, and he walked off the set, and they like showed the whole thing, and I was just like, I like that about him, and that really inspired me, because a lot of people get up and become successful, and then they forget the people that helped them become successful. So it was just very inspiring to see that. And ever since then, I've been following his journey, and his last line was amazing. Looking at all of the creative things that Black people have done throughout the history that a lot of people don't even know about.
Somebody who actually just made my inspirational list. Her name is Carla Harris, and she is actually on the board of directors of the company that I'm interning with this summer. And so we got a chance, all the interns got a chance to hear her speak on Monday. And she's a senior manager and director at an investment firm. So she's not in the fashion industry, but you know, she was really talking to us about navigating corporate America and navigating any kind of business setting and how to, so she called her advice, she called it Carla's Pearls. And so she was sharing, you know, her pearls with us and insights into how to be your authentic self. And she's written 2 books. And so right after her talk, I went and bought both of her books. And so I'm reading those now. But she was just, you know, she was very confident, and she was insightful and engaging, and she was definitely an inspiration to me because I found her to be very admirable. So Carla Harris.
So I actually don't have a specific person. Now I do enjoy, my favorite designer is Christian Dior because I'm in couture, and I just love everything about what that couture era represented. Just the idea of just going outside of your house was just a fashion show. I mean, the outfits when people were getting on the airplanes were just so detailed. I love it. But now I actually keep a collection of the African Americans that are very fluid in the fashion industry. So for example, like the editor-in-chief of British Vogue, I found out that he was Black some time ago, and that was just so exciting for me because I was like, oh my God, you know, we're over Vogue, not in Vogue. We're over Vogue. We're running this, as well as fashion designers as well that are within the States that now have taken over. Jay Bolin, that's one of the stylists down in Texas. He dressed just about everybody at the Stellar Awards. But I keep those close to me because their success doesn't seem, and not ragging on their success doesn't seem unreachable. They'll tell you, this is where I'm from. I started from this place right here. Now look at me now. It's not this long, grandiose, years stretch of time. It makes it look very achievable. As well. And then I sprinkle a little bit of Oprah Winfrey on there on her take chargeness. I mean, she does everything so detailed, so I put that in all my work. But yeah, so just a little bit of a combination that inspires me.
So you kind of answered one of the questions, like who are you guys' favorite brands, and how would you describe your style?
Mine's versatile. I'm you can't really tell, but like I'm wearing a double-breasted blazer right now, jeans, and I have on like leopard print loafers. You can't see that in this little square. My style is very versatile. I actually wrote a paper about the psychology of fashion and what you put on your body means to you. Favorite designer of mine, I don't know if I can pick one. Let's go with this Dior. I love the aesthetics of Dior, Tom Ford, the Eternal style from Burberry. Also, I have an obsession for like Birkin bags, you guys. Like I'm so like yeah, those are my favorite though.
Gloria, what about you?
So for me, as far as like brands, I don't really have favorites. I mean, I'm kind of like the person that just like likes, you know, what I like. Like if I see it and I like it, I'll like get it and whatnot. And I try not to like limit myself to like different types of brands and stuff, because I do want to constantly, you know, like expand, you know, like my wardrobe and like my taste, you know, just step out the comfort zone from time to time. But as far as my style, I do like to be very comfortable but cute at the same time. Like I love the whole baggy pants, anything that's big and baggy. I love it. Just to like, throw it on with like a nice dress shirt or something like that. And I'm also, I don't know why I'm like so like involved with like the old days or like the 80s, but I love like 80s and 90s fashion. Like that's just something that I wish would like just be here forever. Hopefully it will, like fashion always comes and goes, but I'm so obsessed with like 80s and 90s fashion.
90s is an eternal vibe. Like 90s, a little bit early 2000s. Like give me a flip phone and a Sean John tracksuit, and I'm good to go. We're good.
Quick little pink razor, and I'm good.
That's it. I have one. I missed it too.
For me personally, I love. Personally, I love I don't love fast fashion, but with being in my 20s, that's what you're most accessible to. So I love street style and things like that. So people from my hometown, like Joe Fresh Goods, I love his designs. They're very authentic. He gives back to the community and things like that. So that's one of the brands that I like. And I'm an avid online shopper. So places like Misguided and Boohoo, like even though they're not necessarily Black owned or anything, like I still like that they have a little bit of quality, but they have a discount.
Actually, I can agree 100% with that, because this year I'm actually putting more effort into investing into some more sustainable fashion and a more sustainable wardrobe. But up until now, I have really relied a lot on fast fashion. Like I think this is all from Pretty Little Thing and Forever 21. But I'm definitely like, I ordered two Teflar bags a couple months ago that should get here next month. So I'm proud of that purchase because, it's Black owned and good quality. And one of the first big fashion purchases I made. I mean, when people say big fashion purchases or luxury, they automatically go to the thousands, but a couple $100 to me is a luxury. So, but like, I'm just trying to, I'm working right now on refining my style. I would say right now my style is very versatile and I kind of just wear what I feel. But I do want to kind of create a persona or just a more refined wardrobe that really says, this is who Lauren is. And people can see that when I walk into a room. That's the goal.
Right. So as I stated, I attended Clark Atlanta, which was amazing. Just being around the culture and the events and the environment, and also the education, and also, just having the connections with the different courses they were providing to students was amazing. I was able to receive so many internships and a job after college. So just another question is, how has going to HBCU shaped your experience versus a non-HBCU?
I can start this one off, but I actually went to a PWI my first semester of college. And I just thought it was my dream school. It was the only school I applied to. I was like, ooh, this is where I'm going. My aunt went there. We closed. I was like, this is perfect. Got there and I was like, ooh, this is not it. So I actually took a year off of school. And I was doing some different things and traveling and working and all that stuff. And then that next fall, I got invited. So my mom actually works at A&T, and she's been there for a while. And someone that she had connected with, he just came up to me. He's like, you want to go to A&T? I was like, sure. I never really thought about it because I always thought I wanted to get out of Greensboro. But actually, saying yes and actually making that decision was one of the best decisions I feel like I've made. Just because the sense of community at a HBCU, and at A&T, it's like, we're a bigger HBCU, but it's still more intimate than going somewhere with 40 or 50,000 people on campus. And so just community and the willingness of people to kind of reach back and, pull you forward or to check on you. People actually want to know what you're doing and they want to know what's going on in your life. Versus when I was at a PWI, I just felt so overwhelmed and I didn't know where to go. And nobody was really just checking in on you. You were kind of just on your own. So HBCU, like going to HBCU, I would say community is huge.
Great.
Yeah, for me personally, like you said, you only applied to that one PWI. I applied to no PWIs. I was set on going to a HBCU. With my older sisters going to Jackson State and also Clark Atlanta, I just knew that HBCU is just for me. But coming in, I didn't pick fashion. Like I said, I picked biology. So I just was not really particular. You know, whoever gave the best scholarship, the best deal on out-of-state tuition was the school for me. I like my HBCU because it is small. It's like less than 3,000 students. It's really small, and sometimes it can get tiresome, but at the same time, you know, like Lauren said, it's that community, and it's somebody, you're not going to be stranded. Even if you feel alone, you're never going to be alone.
100%.
Mine would be the connection. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mine would be the connections. I mean, we all know that HBCUs we know everybody, or if we don't know them, somebody knows everybody. There are so many connections at a historically Black college. I mean, the alumni database here for TSU is insane. I mean, we have a couple of Facebook pages with over 10,000 followers on there. So, and if you were just to put, like for me, I had put one shirt out, you know, I sold out of that shirt in a second because of those connections. If you guys go through Master P's page, after his son committed, how he announced it, they had me commission a custom sweatshirt for Master P, which went absolutely viral. And by the way, y'all, if I never make that sweatshirt again, I'll be okay. Because everybody wanted it. I'm so sick of making it in all honesty. But those connections are amazing. I can honestly say that I don't think I would have gotten that. And I wanted to go to a PWI. I'm here to say I wanted to go to a PWI in Nashville. I visited the campus. I told my mom, I'm not applying to TSU. I'm not sending my ACT score there. I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to do it. And that's just that. And she forced me to do it. And I'm glad I did. But the connections at my HBCU are absolutely amazing. And anybody else going to HBCU can say there's no reason why anybody graduates without a job offer or, you know, that foundation, because it's there.
I feel like what Sydney, to back up on what Sydney said about like community and like also what Lauren said, I really do feel that at my HBCU. I knew when I first got out of high school, it was HBCU or nothing. Like that's all I wanted to do. And that's the only school that I wanted to like go to was a HBCU. And when I got to Norfolk State, it just felt good to, you know, not have to change who you are to try to, you know, fit in. Like you're there with people who share the same stories and struggles that you share. And even like when I was just feeling like so overwhelmed with like school and, you know, didn't know what to do, like my professors, and they were like there for me, like, you know, letting me know, like, you know, it's okay. Like they were just always like making sure that I was okay. And I really appreciate them for that. And I also feel like, and like, even if I went to a PWI, I wouldn't have gotten that same, you know, experience and that same push that they give me. And it just like, it really like just made me feel like this is, I did the right thing, like as far as coming to a HBCU.
Right, definitely a family environment. So that will conclude this session. Thank you guys for participating.
That you are enjoying today's HBCU Fashion Summit. We have so much more in store for you. But before we get back to our program, I want to take a quick moment to honor some talented HBCU student designers who I have no doubt will make their mark on the fashion industry. These 3 HBCU student designers are the winner of the 2021 HFR Driving Dreams Community Grant powered by Toyota. To help me celebrate these 3 students, I would like to bring back Paige Barton, the manager of multicultural business strategy at Toyota Motor North America, and Tanisha Jackson Warner, the founder of the Dream Project. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much, Brandis. So we at Toyota are truly committed to the HBCU community. And through the Harlem Fashion Road Driving Dreams Community Grant, we get to do just that. In partnership with HFR and the Dream Project, we are so proud to award these 3 emerging HBCU student designers with each a $2,500 grant to fuel their fashion and their dreams.
I love it. Thank you, Paige and Brandis. How exciting is this? So to give you all a little bit of background on how we selected our winners, we put out a call to current HBCU students to submit an original design sketch inspired by either a 2021 Toyota RAV4 XSE Hybrid or the 2022 Toyota Corolla XSE Apex. So along with these design inspirations, we also asked each of the submitting designers, how would you use $2,500 to fuel your fashion dreams? We received some exciting answers. And after reviewing many submissions, Brandis and the Harlem's Fashion Road team selected our top 3 designers. We're so thrilled to introduce you to these designers, but first and foremost, we want you to take a look at these amazing original winning designs.
Our first winning design sketch was inspired by the Toyota Corolla XSE Apex.
Look at this, look at this. First off, yes, for the cat suit. So original. Brandis, okay, kind of talk to me. Tell me, what was the inspiration behind selecting this particular designer?
You know, we really love that this designer actually went so bold with their designs, right? It is so bold. We love the shoulders on this, very strong shoulders on this. This cat suit, this whole V-neck moment, absolutely incredible. Now, if I could, I would do that cat suit. So just incredible creativity here. We just really love how they pulled in so many kind of futuristic moments into this design.
Absolutely. And we can even see on the detail where they are kind of tying back the detail to the car design. Oh, I see the grill, right? Even the car wheel. So really, really original on this one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our next winning designer used the Toyota RAV4 XSE Hybrid as their inspiration.
And here's another one. You know, when I take a look at that, first off, I think it's so original. The puff sleeves, the fitted waist, and I immediately wanted to know what was in Brandis and the Harlem's Fashion Road mind when selecting this one. So Brandis, spill the tea. What were you all?
Let me tell you, they went so literal with the word hybrid in this. I mean, they went for like very regal, and then they did these very modern pants. Like, I love the way that they pulled in this corset tied top. It almost feels like this woman can be going on like a scene in Brigantine, right? So this is just a beautiful example of how talented our HBCU students are. And the originality on this is that, you know, we're at a 10 for originality on this. Absolutely incredible.
Yes, for the hybrid with the mixed look. Okay, what else do we have, Paige?
Okay, so last but not least, our final winning sketch design which was also inspired by the Toyota RAV4 XSE Hybrid.
Oh man, again, all I want to say is when I take a look at this one, I think future, 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 future. Brandis, talk to me, kind of tell me what was it about this designer when you and the Harlem Fashion Row team was looking at this design?
Yeah, I almost feel like this has like an Afrofuturist type of spin on it. You know, they did like asymmetric shoulders, and then there's like a feather that's coming out of there. I love the color blocking on this as well, with the light gray and the dark gray, and then this pop of red that was in it. It felt like this was something that people will be wearing in the next, 5 to 10 years. So I love that they really took us to the future with this outfit.
Love it.
Well, without further ado, the winners of this year's HFR Drives Dream Community Grant are Baina Ings from Hampton University, Joyce Gaio from Howard University, and Caitlin Gilliam from Howard University. Congratulations.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Let's get it. Let's go.
I'll tell my mom after this.
Congratulations, ladies. Continue to drive your dreams forward.
So happy, honored, and grateful to receive the scholarship money to help drive my fashion dreams forward by helping bringing my thesis collection alive, which I'm using as a gateway to introduce myself to the world as an Afro-Caribbean designer. My design process was based on staying true to my Caribbean roots. I chose the RAV4 Hybrid. What stood out to me, it was adventurous, fun to drive, and full of personality. My plans for the future is to launch a label along with my twin sister based on the influences of the creolization of the French Caribbean aesthetic. Also to uplift and celebrate our Haitian heritage. Thank you, Harlem Fashion Row, for this opportunity. Truly grateful.
Hello, I am Caitlin Gilliam, a senior fashion design major from Huntsville, Alabama. I plan on using the $2,500 grant to purchase materials that go towards sketching, fabrics that I will need for the semester, as well as purchasing my own personal mannequin that I can have at my own household. Next, I would also like to put the money towards my senior collection so I can execute that vision to the fullest. And then lastly, it will go towards the development of my own personal upcycled and sustainable brand, Kalos, coming to you very, very soon. What I chose to base my design off of was the 2021 RAV4 XSE. Automatically, the thing that caught my eye was the boxy silhouette. I definitely wanted to incorporate that into my design, so I did so by exaggerating the shoulders on the jumpsuit as well as the pant legs. I maintained the colors of the car, which is the gray color, the gray silver color that we see, black, as well as the red details that are on the LED tail lights. Absolutely my fave. It adds the pop of vibrancy that it needs. A little something more to add to my design. I added pockets to the pants to just emphasize the functional aspect that the car embodies itself. You know, it's a nice sportsy vehicle, and it's still very functional everyday today life, and it's just, you can utilize it to the best of your ability. So that was definitely the inspiration for my design. What's next for me, what Toyota is driving my dream towards, is my own fashion business. I would like to continue to emphasize the importance of sustainability and upcycling in the industry and just combating, the troubles of climate change, because that's where we are headed in the direction. And just maintain the freshness that comes with the innovation of fashion. So I'm going to do that through my own brand, Kalos. That's where I see myself as. I definitely see myself being under the guise of, some of the fashion giants, but I think at the end of the day, I'm going to pursue entrepreneurship, and I'm going to try my hand at my own business, my own craftsmanship, and I really just want to be able to uplift people with my designs, bring love and light to my designs. I want everybody to just feel very expressive with the clothes that I create, and that feeling, that freeness that we have, I just want to put it across in that medium that is fashion to me.
I will use the $2,500 to drive my dreams forward by continuing to invest in myself and my education. I am a marketing major, so I don't really have the formal training that other emerging designers may have, and literally everything I know about the fashion industry I've learned from what I like to call YouTube University. So to put it simply, I just scour the internet for various tutorials and also enroll in educational programs separate from my traditional studies. I would also use part of the grant to invest in my next collection titled From Ground We Bloom, which takes inspiration from the growth of a flower and how its blossoming process is reminiscent to that of human emotional development. I was inspired by the 2022 Corolla XSE Apex, and when looking at the car, the three phases that really came to my mind were sleek, the ability to transform, and head turning, and I believe that I really captured that in my designs. You have the black catsuit with the transparent mesh and bronze contrast stitching, which keeps true to the black and bronze interior and honeycomb mesh grille on the exterior. And then you have the gray suit jacket with the shoulder pads and the ability to be a crop jacket as well, using the dark silver chain and grommet feature, which then still keeps true to the exterior of the Corolla. And I wanted to incorporate the elements of the car while still being able to hone in on my own design beliefs. My plans for the future? Well, I plan on continuing along the path that I'm on right now. And again, despite not being a marketing major, I know that if it wasn't meant for me to have a career in the fashion industry, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And in the years to come, I want to continue growing my own brand, Ophelia Studios, and continue designing. And I would also love to potentially be a chief marketing officer of a large fashion brand. And I truly believe that there's no reason why I should place a limit on myself if I have multiple interests and multiple talents. And I believe that this is what makes me an individual. And I believe that winning this grant solidifies that individuality. And I want to really thank the entire HFR team, Toyota, and the Dream Project for this amazing grant and helping me to drive my dreams forward. I am honestly, truly, forever grateful. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Harlem Fashion Row HBCU Summit. My name is Tanisha Jackson Warner. I am the founder of the Dream Project, and I am thrilled to be here today. I'm honored to continue our partnership with Toyota. For the past 5 years, Toyota and the Dream Project have traveled the nation, empowering thousands of dreamers to dream big and providing them with the resources to drive their dreams forward. So it's only fitting that we are here today partnering with Brandis and the Harlem's Fashion Row community to fuel the future of fashion. And yes, you are the future of fashion. So in this session today, we're going to be talking about branding. As a marketer, I always think about branding in the terms of your brand should really capture what you stand for. Toyota is a brand that stands for continuous improvement. So it is our desire, by being sponsors of this program, that we provide you with tools and resources to fuel your personal and professional dreams forward. There are a couple things that I want to remind you of before we get started. First and foremost, we want to invite you to visit the Toyota Dream Project virtual booth on harlemfashionrow.com. There you will find additional tools and resources to drive your dream forward. So what will you see there? Bonus content with some of the amazing ladies that I'm about to be speaking with. So Kalana Barfield Brown, as well as Shiona Tarini, will have bonus sessions, intimate fireside chats, where they're sharing with you a bit more about their personal stories in fashion. Secondly, you will find the Toyota My Style, My Way quiz. We want you to take this quiz to learn a little bit more about your style, learn something about Toyota, as well as by taking this quiz, you will have an opportunity to win prizes. So throughout this entire program, Toyota will be giving away digital prize tags. You want to take that quiz to sign up for an opportunity to win one of those prizes. So without further ado, let's get this session started. Today's session is about building your personal brand. The women that I am going to be introducing, they have successfully built personal and professional brands, and they both attended HBCUs just like you. And they're here today to share their wisdom. And what a blessing to hear from HBCU graduates to share their blueprint. So first up, I have Kalana Barfield Brown, and I want you to know these ladies are dreamers. So Kalana is the fashion and beauty editor, and she is also a Howard University alum. Come through graduate. I want to tell you a little bit about Kalana. Kalana Barfield Brown has carved out a niche for herself in a very competitive market in fashion and beauty. She began her career as an intern at InStyle before eventually being hired full-time. Throughout her career at the magazine, she's taken on several positions, including beauty director, as well as fulfilled duties that range from writing in-depth features to reporting live on red carpets. She's now a leading fashion and beauty expert who inspires a new generation of women to embrace beauty from within. She appears regularly on TV, including The Today Show, Good Morning America, The View, Extra, Entertainment Tonight. Kalana was born and raised in Seattle and graduated with the BA in journalism from Howard University. She lives in Brooklyn with her husband, Dwayne, and her daughter, Dylan. Join me in welcoming Kalana.
Hi. I have a new
Hello.
baby too, a new baby, Lennox as well.
Oh, and Lennox, such a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here with us. So now we want to also bring in our second dreamer, Shiona Turini, costume designer and stylist who also attended Hampton University. Again, let's go with the HBCU graduates. Shiona Turini is a brand consultant and costume designer, as well as stylist. In her 15-year-long career in entertainment, fashion, and publishing, Shiona has solidified herself as one of the industry's leading experts and has been commended for her work behind and in front of the camera. Shiona is the costume designer on HBCU's Insecure season 3, 4, and 5, which I love. And she's also been nominated for a 2020 Costume Designer Guild Award for her work with Universal Pictures, Queen and Slim. She's also participated as and styled music videos for Megan Thee Stallion, as well as Solange and others. Prior to costume designing, Shiona served as a fashion editor for Cosmopolitan. She's also worked at Teen Vogue, as well as W Magazine. She was born and raised in Bermuda, which remains very close to her heart. Shiona's brand consulting and styling clients work with a number of brands and publications, such as Bermuda Tourism, as well as Free People, Nike, the New York Times, Tiffany & Co., and Valentino, and more. I could just keep going on and on. Shiona, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to take part in this.
Well, I just want to say to both of you again, it's so important for us to share our dream journeys with others in order to pass that blueprint along. And so let's dive straight into it. You know, today is all about building that personal brand. And my question that I want to start with is, we know the importance and benefits for an emerging designer to build a strong brand. However, for all of the HBCU students and alumni that they're here today, but they're not necessarily a designer, they want to be a fashion professional. How important is personal branding for a fashion professional?
I'll start. I think personal branding is important for a fashion professional or a professional in general, just across the board. I think it's critical. And I think it's critical because it really does allow you to be your authentic self. And it makes room for you to be able to move throughout your career in authentic ways. So people know what to expect. Even if you're the only one who looks like you in a room, you don't have to dim yourself because you're able to move and speak the way you speak and, be authentic when you show up. But I also think it's about alignment and really aligning who you are with what you do and how you do it, and really connecting your passions to your work while remaining focused on like your purpose and your why.
I love it. Remaining focused on the purpose and why. Shiona, what are some of the benefits of building a personal brand as a fashion professional?
Well, you are essentially building a portfolio on yourself independent of any sort of corporate structure. So it's really important that your audience, no matter what platform you decide to focus on, right now it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be TikTok, gets a sense of who you are, gets a sense of what you stand for, gets a sense of what you believe in, because it expands your reach and it expands future opportunities. So it invites other collaborations into your world. Before, when you were an editor at a magazine or when you were a stylist, you kind of were put into that box. But when you're building your personal brand, people get to experience different facets of your personality. So you might work in fashion, but you might have a heavy interest, for myself, in like hiking, which might seem like random or might not seem like typical of a fashion person, but I'm able to speak to a different audience. I'm able to speak to a different market. And so building your personal brand, it really expands your world because you're inviting people inside, like into it.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the things that both of you did in your career early on to establish your personal brand? And I also want to know, share something with us about your personal brand. If you had to kind of capture it in words, what is that?
Well, I think we both were fortunate to be in a creative work environment where we were almost, we didn't work a corporate job. So it wasn't like we had a uniform. We were free to express ourselves visually. So we were essentially like walking billboards for our own brand. We wore what we wanted to wear. We wore our makeup and our hair the way we wanted to wear it. So I think that definitely helped. But I think there's a lot of internal branding that happens early in your career, just, working really hard, and then maybe it's not something that people see publicly, but the industry knows. So working really hard and just like always showing up in the most thorough way. So when someone's in a room and says your name, they can say, no, she's the real deal. She works really hard. She's reliable. She's great at what she does. I think that was, that's a part of branding as well. Just how hard you work and how much that carries throughout your career. I think for me, one of the things that I did is, and it was something that I didn't really want to do, but I started to do TV when I was an editor at InStyle, and that made me more visible. And although I was like really nervous when I started to do it, I pushed myself to do it because I knew that it would expand my audience, and I knew that it would help to eventually propel my career. So sometimes you have to say yes, and you have to do the uncomfortable things, even if it's something that you don't want to do, but it will, it pushed me to keep on going and to get better and better. But that was something that I did just to continue to brand myself from the beginning, kind of early on as an editor.
So one of the things that I share with some of our brand clients is your brand is not what you say it is, it's what people say it is when you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So, just hearing some of those words that you just said, hardworking, reliable, in order to have someone say that, Kalana started building that as a personal brand early on. So love it. Shiona, tell me some of the things that you started to do early on in your career to establish your personal brand.
I think that I have actually I never looked at it as building a personal brand. I just looked at it as walking in my truth and being my best self and being authentic and just being true to myself. And that reflected, or that developed into kind of a part of my brand. One thing that I wasn't 100% comfortable with was sharing my work. I know that sounds crazy, but I would do the work and I was happy with the work and I was proud of the work. And I didn't feel like I needed to speak about it. I felt like my work would speak for itself. And I worked on a lot of high profile projects like styling Formation or styling other music videos that, you know, you don't want to talk about because it's not about you. It's about the artist and it's about that. And it's about just like lending your creativity to a bigger story and a bigger picture. And so I had to really get comfortable with sharing my actual work and my actual projects and not just my personality. So kind of finding the fine line and the balance while still remaining, keeping control over the narrative of like my personality. Is like, we share so much of ourselves right now on the internet and because of the internet. And I think that is a beautiful part of brand building because people know what they're going to get. They know who they're going to get. I think that when there is a disconnect between the person that you see online and then the person you experience in real life, it all falls apart. And that's not someone that I think a lot of brands want to work with. And that's not someone that, is going to really move forward because the brand is fake. It's just not real. And so kind of balancing like exactly who you are, what you feel and your work and showing your work ethic, it gets tricky. And so that's something that I learned pretty early out, which I think helped me, is to just find that right amount of balance and just think, okay, what exactly is this brand for? Is it to get me more clients? Is it to get me more styling jobs? Or is it just like live in my truth and share my experiences? And that can make the perfect blending pot of a brand, and especially when it's your personal brand. So I just think that finding that balance is super important, especially with anyone trying to build a brand right now. It's just to know how much they want to share, what they want to share, and what the end goal is.
I love it. So y'all are dropping so many nuggets so quickly. The one thing I want to call out, a commonality between what Kalana just shared and what Shiona shared. So Kalana said that she ventured out into TV, but at first she wasn't comfortable doing that. And then Shiona came back and also talked about at first not being comfortable sharing all of her work projects, but she did it anyway. So one commonality that I just heard here is both ladies, when faced with being comfortable and or uncomfortable, they were willing to stretch beyond their comfort zones and step beyond their comfort zones in order to achieve. That's a universal truth of a dreamer's journey. And so just listening to that, as you all are building your personal brands, know that you may even have to step outside of that comfort zone. So we're only going to do one more question. Let's see which one. What is the one thing that you would share with the attendees and viewers that they can start doing today to build their personal brand?
Do you want to start, She?
That's such a hard question, or a loaded question, because there couldn't possibly just be one thing. But I do feel like something that will keep you focused is just to remain true to yourself and authentic to the end goal. I think that it's super important, and it's really easy to get distracted in this industry, and it's really easy to get pulled in different directions. But when you kind of know what you want and you have a goal and you sit there, make yourself a list and think about, these are the ways I think that I can get to this goal. It will help you move towards it, just because you can get pulled into many different directions. I don't necessarily think that going off the path is a bad thing, because you get these opportunities and you're like, I've never done that before, I might as well try it. I've never done that before, that's scary, but I'm going to step into it. But as long as it brings you back to exactly where you feel like your life's purpose is and your soul's purpose is, I think that that's a one thing that I would share, is just like to not lose focus and remain true to yourself and to your end goal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I 100% agree with that. But I think another thing you could do too, with keeping that in mind, is to maybe start with just making a list of all the things that, you know, you're passionate about, your goals, but also you're passionate about. So for me, yes, I've had this career in beauty and fashion, but I'm so much more than that. I'm a Black woman first. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm an HBCU grad. And these are all things that make me who I am and have shaped who I am as a person. So when I share my content, I try to share it as a whole and all the things that are meaningful to me. And, you know, that keeps me focused, but it also helps to align the things that I'm working, it helps to align the businesses that I work with. So, you know, I'm not just one thing. And I think when you just kind of write down all the things that you're passionate about and you start to share that, I think it kind of comes back to you. And when you're building a brand, it's like, if you're into fitness, you know, share your fitness journey. You know, that might be outside of fashion, but share it if that's something that you're interested in. I think, you know, if you're on a fitness journey, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable as well. If you're doing a challenge, let people see that. But I think that it's, you know, really just kind of like not making it one thing. Think about all the things that you're passionate about and continue to share that when you're starting to build your brand.
I love it. So if you're watching this session, they dropped so many nuggets. I would definitely highly recommend you go watch it over and over and get those pins out, because I'm going to go back and watch it. Shiona and Kalana, I just want to say thank you for sharing your wisdom and time today in this session. If you're watching this, we want to make sure that let's support these amazing dreamers going forward. So please stay tuned and follow Kalana on Instagram. We're going to drop the handle in. Please follow also Shiona. Ladies, we want to continue supporting you as you go forward. And thank you for being willing to pass the wisdom down. If you're watching it today, these are HBCU graduates. So they are living proof and examples that your dreams can be realized. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Continue to stay tuned for the rest of the program, and make sure to stop over at the Toyota Dream Project booth at hfr.com. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies, and thank you for joining us for our HBCU Summit. I'll start by introducing the panel. Christy Frederick, Assistant Professor at Norfolk State University. Devonna Dixon, Associate Professor at North Carolina A&T State University. Bridget Clinton Scott, Professor, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. Mrs. BJ Arnett, Interim Chair, Art and Fashion Department at Clark Atlanta University. And Darlene Ebhart Burke, Chair and Associate Professor, Department of Human Sciences, North Carolina Central University. We're going to kick this off with a few questions. The first, going to Christy Frederick. Tell us a bit about your journey to becoming a professor in the fashion industry.
Well, it's kind of interesting. You know, as an undergrad at VCU, once I graduated to Atlanta, actually, that's sort of where I got my start in the fashion industry. And to start off, I did mostly retail operations at boutique type stores like Laura Ashley and Taylor. When I returned home, though, I decided I wanted to further my education, because as an undergrad, I had such a great mentor and my professor, her name is Sandy Wilkins, that I always knew, you know, after I set the world on fire as a fashion designer, I wanted to come back and I wanted to teach. So I wound up going to Norfolk State University to get my master's in art and teaching in secondary ed with an emphasis in fine arts, because I got a BFA at VCU. So when I went to register, they heard me say fashion design, and I was saying, you know, that's what my undergrad was in, but I want to get my MAT in fine arts. Well, they sent me to the fashion design program. By mistake, it was the undergrad program. And I met the chair there. She directed me to where I needed to be, which was graduate studies. Long story short, an opening became available. One of their longtime professors was retiring, and the chairman remembered my name. At this point, I was a year and a half into my MAT and teaching as an adjunct. I taught adjunct for several years. When I completed my master's and a full-time position became available, I became the coordinator for fashion design, and I started teaching full-time. One thing I can say, you know, coming from a majority university as an undergrad, I quickly learned what a family environment the HBCU is. And I was really amazed at my students, and I'm still amazed by them. You know, that I used to always say they all aren't going to be winners, but there were definitely more winners than, you know, dead weight. They really were invested, you know, in this fashion design and even fashion merchandising. And, you know, I'd had offers to go on to other things throughout the years, but I always felt like they really needed me. You know, they made me feel wanted, needed, and I just knew I had more to pour into them. You know, when I was in Atlanta, I did freelance design. I even, once I started teaching adjunct, I started my own women's clothing line. And 8 months pregnant with my first child, I'm running in the streets of New York to get patterns to my contractor, and I tumbled right in the middle of the street. Like, you can't keep doing this. You gotta stop, you know. And I put it on the back burner. I raised my kids. I continued to teach. And now, along with teaching, I'm sort of reclaiming my time, if you will. I like to show my students that I too am doing what I'm trying to teach you to do. So
yeah, and I really do love hearing your journey, because, you know, it's very, very diverse, and, you know, it shows that there's not a straight path. And Darlene, I know you and I had a lot of conversations during the Icon 360, you know, award opportunity, and I wanted you to weigh in on this conversation as well, because I think your background is equally as diverse. Can you share?
Oh, absolutely. I do not have a traditional undergraduate degree in fashion or textiles. I'm a chemist. I have a chemistry degree from Delaware State University. So upon finishing up my studies, I had room for one elective, and I chose a textile and apparel class, and it changed my life. So just learning color combinations, learning how to sew, getting excited going into Joann Fabrics. And fortunately, I was running track at Del State at the time, and one of my teammates, he was a fashion major, and he asked me to model in his show, his you know, senior design show. So I was able to model in the show, to see the behind the scenes, and also to see, you know, me being in the class. That's something that always stuck with me. So upon graduating from Delaware State, I had an opportunity to do an internship at DuPont. Although my research wasn't textile related, they had some textile related things that was going on there. So that was always in the back of my mind. So upon finishing up that internship, I went to Hampton University to study chemistry. And while at Hampton, I became a National Science Foundation Fellow. So they paid for me to go to Hampton University, but also to pursue my PhD at Virginia Tech. So that was a game changer. However, when I went to Virginia Tech, that burning, that longing about something, that creative side about fashion was in my mind. So I went over to Virginia Tech to see if they had a textile program. They did. I felt that I was at home. I told them what I wanted to do, spoke with my chemistry professors, and they made it happen, like a textile chemistry degree with my PhD. So after finishing that, I did a postdoc for about a year. I moved from Virginia to North Carolina, no family. And then a job opening came at North Carolina Central University. And that was 16 years ago. So
That
I
is
have the same passion, you know, in 05 than what I'm having in 2021. I feel the exact same, even better.
That's incredible.
That started my journey.
Yeah, you know, sometimes students have a hard time deciding a career path, especially when they are creative.
Yeah.
Do you have, any of you have any advice for students watching on how to determine whether a fashion related degree is the way to go?
My comment would be, because I get that a lot too, students from like business department who want to minor in fashion, they really want to major, but they're scared to. It's like, I encourage all the students just to absorb information. They have access to so much. There's so much content on social media. Look at videos related to the fashion related careers that they're interested in. Follow individuals that are already in those career paths and just absorb what is there. You can even connect with individuals so easily. Just request an informational interview. Just get that information, and the more you absorb, it'll lead you and direct you directly to, you know, where they should be. But just research and get it. It'll come to you. Life will lead you to that path that you're supposed to be on.
Absolutely.
And I would also like to add to what Dr. Clinton Scott has said. Researching the program itself and the course descriptions is also a really good idea for any university that they may decide to attend. One of the things they need to understand or to consider would be the actual courses, and understanding that as they're coming in, that they're not, that they have the creative abilities, which is awesome, but they're really ready to learn more about the creative process. They're getting ready to learn more about the textiles and the materials that they're using. And so having that completed the research, as Dr. Clinton Scott has said, and then moving forward with an open mind, ready to learn how to more effectively apply their creativity and their skill set, and to learn a little bit more about the materials that they're using, definitely consider that in their decision.
That's great. That's great. Professor Arnett, your department was awarded a grant from HFR's nonprofit organization, Icon 360. Can you share with the students watching some of the things that will be put into place using the funding?
Absolutely. It's quite exciting for us that this award has come to pass. We're just thrilled. Our students will be able to get involved with a project that we started several years ago. It is our Trends and Tours event, where they come out of Atlanta, come out of their safe zone. We go to New York and we visit from the textile arena to the manufacturers, to the designers, to backstage at Lion King. We go everywhere. We are in Tiffany's meeting with all of their visual people. And of course, I am drooling and my students are as well. We are at Nike behind the scenes and seeing how purchasing happens and buying happens. We are taking that program to another level because of this help. We couldn't have done it without this help. We're also going to be able to award students who have not been able to really reach their creative goals. I love what the professors have said earlier about students connecting with industry. This is all about connecting with industry. Everything we do, we want students to touch, feel, smell, and get involved, not to pull back out of fear. So we push them into uncomfortable situations, but those uncomfortable situations will now allow them the opportunity to jump into a scholarship for something that they had in the back of their mind. Creatives always same thing over and over again. This is how I create. This is what I do. Yes, but what you do must have a pattern. So this money will help us help establish a business pattern in the creative mind, because you can create it, but if it doesn't sell, your heart is broken. You're broke. So we are trying to make sure that those students have the opportunity to, yes, create, but also have the opportunity to create that vision to come to, so that they are making an income that takes that vision to the next level. These scholarships will allow that. We'll also be able to get a couple more pieces of equipment. One piece of equipment that we love having in our labs is our Gerber machine. Well, we've got to do some things to build that up. All of you all know about that, right? We got to build that platform up. But we really want to expand our 3D program, where our students are able to design their own jewelry. We have several 3D computers now, but we need more because the program has grown so much. So those are just some of the things that we're doing, along with starting our own museum. Patrick Kelly's foundation gave us a large portion of his line, and we really want to set that just right, along with some historic pieces.
That
amazing.
is phenomenal. Thank you for just outlining all the amazing, things you are building with this grant. And I know the students are excited to take part in making sure that this is successful. So thank you. And Darlene, I still just can't forget the conversation that we had when, Brandis and Jasmine and the Gap Icon 360 team called, and you were just talking about like the 2 hours in time that it takes you to like come to the school every day, and the resources needed for textiles and the technology. Can you talk to us about what this grant means for your university?
Absolutely. To piggyback on Professor Arnett, thank you so much for just recognizing us in this way. But for us, we have a very small program, and we have a computer lab. In our computer lab, of course, the computers are outdated, 10 plus years old. We want to freshen our offerings. We want to look into digital fashion. As Professor Arnett said, we're looking at Gerber technology. We're looking at 3D, Clode, DAS 3D. So just doing some things on that level on the computer and the technology side. We even looking into AI. So we want our students to know analytics for them to be game changers when they graduate. Also, we have a sewing lab. We do have, machinery, sewing machines, but nothing industry grade. So we want to have industrial grade sewing machines, sergers, to make our own fabrics, just different things that we can do to mimic what's going on in the industry. And more importantly, we have a daycare downstairs that's been out of service for about 2 years. So we're going to turn that daycare into a textile lab to look at surface design and different things like that. Because right now we have an alteration shop so unique that's been in existence for over 15 years. To freshen that offering, to offer embroidery services with different student organizations. So we want our students to be hands-on in some of everything. And if they can think it, we can see if we can put it together for them to produce it. So we're trying to have no limits. So that's what the funding means for us, just to take us from here to the sky's the limit.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. And ladies, if you had a chance to tell the entire fashion industry about your students, what would you want them to know? What would you share?
I think we have HBCUs collectively have some of the most creative and talented students amongst all universities. And so I would like to share that those creative students are here and they're ready to take the role as leaders in the fashion industry. And I think that we are doing everything possible to prepare them by incorporating the technology, as we mentioned, by incorporating a learning experience and experiential opportunities for students to gain more experience. And so I think we are working with gaining or seeking to gain opportunities to better improve our students. And so I think it's working. And we like to think opportunities such as the Icon 360 and the Gap, Closing the Gap initiative for helping out with moving some of these initiatives forward. But I would like to say that our students are ready and that the industry should take a serious look because our students are ready. And if they are not, we are getting them ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you just said, Dr. Dixon. Yeah.
I think they're one of the greatest untapped resources for as far as the fashion industry is concerned. I mean, like she said, they're ready, they're sharp, they're bright thinkers, and they are innovative. You know, they to design, and you know, being the devil's advocate, I would say, okay, so how does she get in it? You know, because everything's from the front, or if it's the back detail, I say, yeah, but how is she going to get in it? And they start to think, and then you know, the answers come. It's one of those things where they are, and they're very astute to technology. You know, they are out there changing things and making changes happen. And you know, we're doing it socially. They're doing it socially, politically. They can do it with the fashion industry. You know, Patrick Kelly was the shining star for his generation. Mm-hmm. You had Stephen Burrows, his generation, Barry, all of these designers. And the next one is sitting right in one of our classes, or it could be several of them.
More than one.
But they need the chance. They only need the chance. And HFR and, you know, Icon 360 Gap, this is a game changer.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Professor, I so agree with you, because one of the things that I think the industry needs to recognize is that these young people are the change of the game. They are the change of the game. Without a doubt.
Fearless. They're fearless.
Okay. They're fearless. And if the industry isn't ready, there will be a new industry birthed by these young people, because they're not taken back. They're not pushing back. They're pushing forward. They're grabbing onto the technology. They're grabbing onto everything that we're saying. We are all from different universities. However, we have the same mindset. Our students are great, and they are the change. So one of the things that I felt so blessed about was that Icon 360 and Gap would come alongside of all of us and say, look, we are going to back this thing.
Yes.
There is nothing that you can hold back from these students, because if that is the thought, then bypass is what they will do. They are more than ready, and we are more than ready as their professors and as their institutions to push them to their next level. There's absolutely nothing that they can't do.
Absolutely. And I agree with all of that. And we want to see our students win. Yes. You know, coming from these small programs to take it to the next level. And I'll be remiss, even though our current students, even some of our alums, I'm proud of our alums as well, that with that foothold that they're doing in the marketplace as well, and still having that love to develop thick skins, to learning how to express themselves. So all of those things, they just continue to make us proud. So it's like a continuum.
Yes.
New students and our alums as well. And we just want to continue to grow.
And the alums are so giving to the students who are in the seats that they once sat in. They come back and they will mentor them. They'll talk to them. I'll say this really quick. I had one young lady, she was in the second class of students that I taught as an adjunct. I was only 10 years younger or older than they were. And she helped a group of my juniors and seniors get into New York Fashion Week. And they got to see some of the runway shows. And I was sitting beside her in a show, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you enjoying this?" I said, "You are giving me life right now. This is amazing."
Yes.
And she looked at me and she sort of teared up. She said, "Thank you." She said, "That's what I wanted. I always wanted to give back to you because you gave so much to me." And I, you know, like, I gave her, but I'm thinking you've given me so much because you allowed me and our students to come in and have an experience that they really would not have been able to do otherwise.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thank you again for the award that was granted to NSU's fashion program and our Division of Fine Arts, because it means a lot and it is going to do a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear the fire in all the other professors, but it's a game changer.
It is.
We thank you.
It's true.
We thank you for the work. We thank you for the dedication to our students, to our country. You know, I think the words of wisdom here are rich. We thank you for the conversation. They are the change. They are ready, and we must invest. I just pull those out. Thank you so much, really. We believe in you. This is only the beginning. So thank you for joining us for this dynamic conversation. Enjoy the rest of the summit and have a phenomenal week.
My name is Kalia Braxton. I am the branded strategy manager at Condé Nast Entertainment, where I oversee all of our social, digital content for our style division. I'm excited to sit here today with Kelsey Marie, a content creator, and we'll be talking about all things social media, content creation. So I'll hand it over to Kelsey so Kelsey can introduce herself and then we'll jump straight in.
Hi, my name is Kelsey. I am a content creator and the owner of the Joplin Agency, which is a social media agency where we provide social media management, social media strategy, as well as content creation. I'm also a graduate of Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh my gosh, I'm a graduate of an HBCU too. Forgot that. I went to Spelman College and I graduated in 2016. Okay, so let's just jump straight in. Kelsey, how did you get started on social media?
So social media came about really organically for me. I've always loved taking photos and sharing it. And I take photos of whatever exhibits I go to, outfits I'm wearing, and just through organically posting it, brands started to reach out to me. And it was after, I think, like my first or second paid collaboration, I took it more seriously and I started to look up ways that I can turn it into a business. I also started looking up ways that I can pitch to brands that I wanted to work with. And since then, I would say about since like 2018, I have been consistently working as a content creator and as an influencer. But it all started organically through my love of photography and just sharing things that I genuinely loved with my community on my Instagram profile.
That's beautiful. Okay, so first things first, you loved it. You did something that you loved and you turned it into a business. And I hope that that's a takeaway that everyone takes from that part, that answer. Because once you find something that you love or that you're good at and you work at it, the rest will come, you know? So that's amazing that you were doing what you were always doing and you made it make sense.
And you know what's interesting? I think that a lot of people now, they want to get into it, not because they love it, but because they see the free items that certain bloggers or influencers receive. And I think that a lot of people need to know how much work goes behind what you see someone post on Instagram. So if it's a paid collaboration, that person had to go through so many emails, so much strategy, preparation. So you genuinely have to love it to continue doing it, in my opinion.
Trust me, I understand. As you're on the other side, I sit on the other side of that, the part where it's like, who are we going to work with? What is she going to do? How does that make sense? And that is a back and forth. So you definitely have to be, ready and really open to all of the things that come with it, not just the glitz and glam. of the final post. What would you say your process for content creating is? Like, do you wake up and say, this is what I'm doing today? Do you plan? Do you make a calendar? Like, how do you know what's next, what you're going to post? What do you want to show?
So to be completely honest, I'm not a planner.
Okay.
I'm not the most like organized person. I do my best work on the fly. But this year, I tried to be more organized with my content creation just because my work with my agency got a lot busier. I wasn't able to just go outside or get dressed and take photos. So whenever I have a campaign, I use my Google Calendar. I have to schedule it. I then, if I can't just use my tripod, because I take a lot of my photos myself, I have to schedule a time with my friends so that they can come to whatever location and assist me. And then about 2 days before I start shooting, I go location scouting. I like a lot of my photos to be very minimalist, and like have some kind of art or architecture component to it so that it can really make the outfits that I put together pop. And so location scouting before the shoot day is a really great way to avoid burnout, avoid stress, and you just know where you're going, you know what time works, you know when the sun is the best, and that's pretty much my process. And then afterwards, I go through, I select the photos that I like. I review what the deliverables are by the brand and make sure that everything is aligned. And then I go through my editing process. I have a consistent aesthetic, which means that there's like a color palette that I go by. There's a way that I like my skin color to look. I want it to look very brown and true to what my skin color is in real life. And I edit according to that, according to what my personal likes are, but also keeping the brand in mind and making sure that it's something that they would be proud to share on their pages as well. And then once I have the content, I deliver it to the brand by either a Google Drive or WeTransfer. And then I just keep in contact with them through email, make sure that everything is fine. And if they ever need edits, I would have to go back and reshoot or find another photo that would best suit what they want. So yeah, that's pretty much my process.
I wish we had more time to get into that part, because the brands definitely come back and tell you what they like, what they don't like. And you need to, you know, if you did the shoot last week and it's this week, you got to put back on those clothes. You got to get back to that site. You need to figure it out. And something that you mentioned was having a friend help you. So you are a one-woman show, but team, there is no I in team. So you still have a little team that helps you get the job done. Yeah.
Right.
And, okay, cool. Okay, so then I'm sure everyone is wondering, like, tell us your process to building followers, like times to post and hashtags and photo editing. Like, do you have a system? Do you just post? Do your followers love you and they know, okay, Kelsey posted, like, what's going on?
So I think that now it's difficult to build a following on Instagram. TikTok, I know, is a lot easier, but also like I don't be having time to make TikTok videos consistently. So for Instagram, I would say the best way to grow is to stay true to what your niche is. A lot of times I know that people get discouraged because they may not get like a lot of likes or they're not growing consistently, and they try to hop on the different trends and do the dances or whatever is the current social media trend. But I think that if you stay true to who you are, what your niche is, and what you genuinely enjoy to post about, your community and the people who enjoy the same things, they will find you. For hashtags, I recommend using like about 13 to 15 hashtags. And in order to hide it, you can put it in the comment section. And then also just engaging with other accounts. Be organic about it, be genuine, and just don't try too hard. If you don't feel comfortable dancing in a video, then you don't have to do that. Just do what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel true to yourself. And I think that's when people will really shine and your account will grow.
Yeah. and heavy on the like focusing on engaging. I know like if you guys ever notice like, brands on TikTok, you ever see like McDonald's or Wendy's or somebody like responding in the comment, like TikTok for me is in fun for the comment section. Like I like the videos, but I want to know like what's going on, what are people really thinking, and that's also a way to grow followers, just engagement. So definitely a good one. Well, I know.
Wait, one more thing. So like, I think it's really important on your posts, if people are commenting with a bunch of hard eyes or whatever, to always be appreciative of that and to like and comment back. And also, a lot of times you may get discouraged because you have 2,000 and you're saying, oh, I only have 2,000 followers. But in reality, if 2,000 people were to come into your house right now, that's a ton of people.
Yeah.
So it's also about looking at it from both sides. You don't have as much as you want right now, but use the audience that you do have and find out how you can keep attracting them to the point where they share with their community your page and your content.
Yep, 100% in alignment with you. Okay. So last one, because I know time is running out, I want you to, can you give the audience like an idea of what a week of content could look like for them? What could be like some of the things that are beneficial to them to be posting on social media? We're guessing that they are all trying to jump into this space. And so where can they start? What does that look like?
So I know the majority of you watching are currently in school. I think that a great thing to do would show day in your life videos. So you can make these short videos on TikTok. What does a day in the life as a fashion major look like? Or as a mass communications major look like? And you can show like your wake up time, you're on your way to campus, what are you eating? And then prepping for projects that you may have. I think that's really important. And then also, future employers, they look at your social media, and if you show that you are actively doing what you're applying for, I think that that would be a major key and help you secure that job as well. In terms of getting brand partnerships, I think it's all about being consistent and then really curating your content to where you're posting about what you genuinely love, but you're keeping a certain aesthetic in mind. And if you want to work with brands, I think it's important to keep your voice in mind. So when writing copy, staying really true to who you are, not engaging in comments or conversations that brands could potentially look at and then write you off. So I think that's important as well.
First of all, Kelsey, thank you for today. Like this was
thank you.
Yeah, this was like, yeah. So if I could go back to 2016, like and I watched this kind of conversation, like I'd probably be like way ahead. I think your insights were head on, especially guys, the comment part, like you guys have to engage. Engagement will boost your reach. Like you need to be, you know what I mean? Like interacting with your followers. I don't care if you only have 500 of them, say hello to all of them when they say hello to you. And so that was like amazing. And I hope that everyone is leaving this conversation full because you literally dropped all the gems. And follow Kelsey as well, because you can learn from her as the journey goes on. So thank you so much, Kelsey, for sitting here and talking with me. No, yeah, and this was amazing. I actually will be hitting you up after this. And everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you.
Daniel, the CEO and founder of Harlem's Fashion Row, and I am so excited to have with me Steph Diedrich, who is the partnerships lead of YouTube Fashion and Beauty. Welcome, Steph.
Hello. Great to see you again, Brandis, and I'm happy to be here and be a part of this event.
Well, I'm so excited for you to be here. Students, you are in for such a treat because we're going to get the inside scoop on how you can get an internship with Google, who owns YouTube, right? Or YouTube. So, Steph, thank you so much for agreeing to be here again. So, what positions? I want to think about, because oftentimes, right, we think about, oh, I need to like have all this tech background in order to apply for an internship at like a Google or YouTube. But what positions are available that people don't commonly talk about?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I work at YouTube, which, as you said, is owned by the larger company Google. And before I got into the tech space, I thought tech equals engineering. If I don't know how to code, there isn't a job for me. And of course, engineering that's going to be the foundation of all of these companies, but that doesn't mean you need to know how to code to work in tech. I can't code, and I've worked in tech for a while. So there's roles across program management, product partnerships, content partnerships, which is what I do, bringing great content, helping bring great fashion and beauty and style content to YouTube, or things related to fostering communities across the world or advancing diversity. So how I would think about it is think about all the things you do in your daily life that are supported by technology, whether that's listening to music or reading something online. And if you look into that and think about it through that lens, there's likely a job that's not engineering related to bringing that to life. And it could be something you're incredibly passionate about. So that's where I would start. And that's how to start thinking about those cool jobs in tech, but that aren't engineering focused.
I love that. That gives them a whole lot to think about, right? So what does YouTube look for in potential candidates, and what skills or traits stick out in the recruiting process?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So I will say I lead partnerships. I'm not a recruiter. So there's official guidance on like the interview process and the available opportunities at careers.google.com, which we can link out or you can follow there. However, I have been at the company for a while and I've been on both sides of the interview process. And if I could boil down what we're looking for to its elements, it's that Google wants to understand who you are and how you think. Those are the important things. So of course, there's going to be some aspect of hard skills and abilities that are required to do the job. But beyond that, we're really looking to understand in this interview process and with candidates, how do you solve problems and handle challenges that we don't even know will exist yet? Because if you think about how tech has changed the world in the last 10 years, there are things that we couldn't have forecasted that now are, issues that are coming up in the day-to-day. So really what we want to know is, how do you think and solve problems? Because we can't predict, what's going to happen. But if we know you're a great problem solver and I'll say a great communicator, your skill set's always going to be relevant. So if you think about it through that lens, like read what's on careers.google.com, but really look to bring that into the forefront, because that's what our interviews are geared around and really what jumps out when we talk to great people to bring them on and work with us.
Love to know. So when I think about it as an entrepreneur and how do I really think and get better with problem solving, one of the things that helped me is listening to certain podcasts, right? So I listen to Masters of Scale. That's one of my favorites. How I Built This. Are there some kind of tangible things you can give students that they can podcasts they can listen to, or types of books that they could read to really help them with even how they think about and approach problems?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one book I always recommend, I sat in a seminar thing way back in college, and one book I recommend to all students is something called the 20-minute informational interview by a woman named Marcia, and I might butcher the last name, but Marcia something, you can look it up. And it really and what it does is it unpacks how to make the best, if you get time with an executive like yourself, Brandis, or with other folks that you're really trying to meet and understand things from, that is a really good way on how to use people's time wisely in a way that feels like a mutual value exchange and really helps you get what you need in the best way. So that's the first thing I would, recommend to kind of all students and folks at kind of this stage. As it relates to like, more tangible podcasts or things that I would look at is one thing I listened to this podcast called Sway by Kara Swisher from the New York Times. And one thing I do is I try to, when I listen to some of the challenges that that executives are facing in the industry, I try to think about how would I solve that if I were if I had that problem. And I might not know it all, but it's a good exercise to think about. Let's say I really, had this on my plate. How would I try to solve this? And what that does, or what that's done for me, is it's helped me think about a range of different things and try to put myself in the headspace, because that's ultimately going to mirror what the interview process is going to look like as well at a lot of these companies, where there's real challenges that we might not have the answers to. And we're going to look to you to solve them for us. So if you already are in the headspace of how to do that and kind of wrangle that information, I think that's one way I practice, staying up to date and problem solving across a number of, different things.
I do the same thing. That when I'm listening to that podcast, I'm like, oh, okay, they solved this like this. Okay, this is great, because it helps you to hear how other people are solving challenges. And it also, because on like Masters of Scale and both How I Built This, they are both interviewing CEOs. So it helps me think, how am I thinking about this? As a CEO of a big company would think about this. So I love that advice. And I have never heard of that book before. So students, that's a key. Okay, give us the title of the book one more time.
It's called The 20-Minute Informational Interview.
The 20-Minute Informational Interview. Okay, that was a good key. Thank you for that, Seth.
Incredible book. I recommend it to everyone. It's changed how I approach everything for the last 10 years.
I love that. I love that. Now, how can students use their YouTube channels to attract employers or really set themselves apart from other candidates?
Yeah, that's another great one as well. And I would really think about this in two parts, or two ways to do this. The first, a little bit more obvious answer is become a creator and build a community around something you're passionate about. You can use those results and things you've learned to inform the interview process. In the same way you go through the exercise of solving problems on podcasts, you can say, I built this community, or I did this thing that resulted in XYZ. Because employers and great hiring managers, they're not as concerned about how you got that experience as much as that you have it. So whether you were paid to do something or got the skill on a passionate side project, it's all the same. We just want to know you know how to do the thing, not necessarily how you acquired those skills. So you can build a community and use those learnings about that process and doing that, and that would be incredibly impressive, and you can point right to the results. The other way I would think about it is use YouTube to educate yourself on subjects and areas you're not familiar with. YouTube is massive, over 2 billion monthly active, I'll say that. And people are coming to YouTube for education, for access, entertainment, and community. And whether you want to learn about economics or finance or art or fashion or some niche trend in Singapore, there's probably a YouTube video that can help you unpack that. And you can start to learn about things that maybe you can't fly to this place, or you don't know a person in this industry, but you can do a search on YouTube and find out a lot more. So that's still what I use to this day to build perspective on things that I don't know about or areas I don't know. And I can use all of that information in my day-to-day to inform the interview process, to solve problems that I'm dealing with at work or in personal life. So I would look at it in those two lenses and just bring your whole self and your whole person into that process through things you've learned on the side or through YouTube or on the internet at large.
I love that. Steph, you have made it so far already in your career as like partnerships lead. Is there any, like, to end this, is there any advice, like anything that you followed that have really helped you, get promoted, that have really helped you get a position of lead at a company like YouTube that you would like to offer up to the HBCU students?
Yeah. I would say just go for it. I think don't wait for permission or for somebody to say it's okay to do that thing, or wait for, wait for things to happen. Like I see the leaders at a lot of these companies and the people that inspire me and who are getting to places I'd like to be or see, and they're not waiting for permission for somebody to try this thing. Like, if you fail, that's okay. A lot of us are failing in a lot of different areas, but you have to try, you learn, and you do the thing next. So I would say that's my advice, whether it's the internship, getting a role, trying something, have confidence that you can do it. Like nobody, has all the answers. People are just trying things at a high volume and getting them more right or more wrong, and then honing the approach in from there. There's not a secret to it. It's just having the confidence to try it, trying it again, and going for it. I think that's how I got here. Hopefully it'll be how I get to whatever's, next someday, and continuing from there. But you got to try, believe in yourself, and just go for it.
I love that. We're going to end there because that was perfect. That was a mic drop moment. Thank you so much, Steph, for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with the students today. We are so grateful to you. So students, you heard it. Just go for it. Just go for it. People are just people. There are no extraordinary, they're just people who are going for it constantly, right?
Exactly. Yes, Brand, it's so great to see you again and be a part of this event, and more soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So guys, let me just tell you, we are in for such a super treat. One of my favorite mother-daughter duos, the fashion icon, Misa Hilton, who is the fashion architect and the founder of the Misa Hilton Fashion Academy, here with her brilliant daughter, Madison Starr, who is a designer and also the founder and owner of Madison Starr Couture. Welcome to our first HBCU Fashion Summit.
Thank you, Brandis. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So I want to start first with the fact that you guys are mother-daughter. You just graduated cum laude, should I say, or am I right, Madison?
Summa cum laude.
I wanted you to correct me. That's what you're supposed to say, nope, summa cum laude. From Howard University. And the fact that you guys, I see you working together. I see you supporting each other. Madison was there at the Fashion Academy. How have you just kept such an incredible bond while